Chapter 568. Sect. Li Jun and Yangdong, who was beside her, were shocked. Teacher, are you talking about Qing Hu Island? A cold light flashed in Yangdong's eyes. Tung Qingshan nodded and said, Ever since I returned to the land of the 9 prefectures, only Emperor Yu's Hall, Shooting Sun God Mountain, and Qinghu Island have enmity with me. However, Emperor Yu's Hall and Shooting Sun God Mountain are both powerful sections. They wouldn't be so stupid. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility of them attacking us. However, it's most likely that the surviving members of Qinghu Island want to take revenge. Surviving members of Qinghu Island? Han Wu and Hong Lin were slightly confused. When they were born, Qinghu Island had already been destroyed. They naturally didn't know much about Qinghu Island. Surviving members of Qinghu Island. Li Jun frowned and said, When you killed the blind sword master, Qing Shan, the elites of Qinghu Island collapsed. They scattered. We didn't kill all the experts of Qinghu Island. If all the experts of Qinghu Island gathered together, their power would be amazing. Dong! Tung Qingshan suddenly shouted. Teacher, Yang Dong hastily answered. Pass down my order. Gong Yu has been hiding for a year. He must have a helper in Yuzhou. Find out who Gong Yu has been in contact with over the past year, and which faction he belongs to. Tung Qingshan frowned and said, Moreover, the person who secretly warned me about the Xingyi sect was a mysterious, innate expert in Yuzhou. If it weren't for him, thousands of internal martial arts disciples would have died. Gong Yu is hiding in Yuzhou, and so is this mysterious, innate expert. There must be a big secret in Yuzhou. Find out everything. Also, find the people who are hiding among the surviving members of Qinghu Island in the land of the 9 prefectures. Find out if the surviving members of Qinghu Island are plotting something. Tung Qingshan said solemnly. The Xingyi sect was an extremely powerful force in the land of the 9 prefectures. They also had spies among the surviving members of Qinghu Island. Yes, teacher, Yang Dong answered respectfully. Tung Qingshan's heart was filled with killing intent as he thought to himself, Qinghu Island, I originally wanted to let you guys go. However, if you are really plotting to take revenge behind my back, then you're courting death. Tung Qingshan had killed the main culprit, the blind sword master, and Guyon was nowhere to be found. Tung Qingshan did not have much killing intent towards the other people of Qinghu Island. However, since they dared to plot against him, he definitely couldn't let them live. 5 days later, at night, in Tung Qingshan's study room, Elder Zong Lu personally came to report. Sect Master, there's news from Yuzhou. Zong Lu held a thick stack of papers in his hands. These are all the things we found out about Gong Yu over the past year. Everything, big or small, is recorded. Tung Qingshan looked at the thick stack and frowned slightly. If he wanted to read it, he would probably have to read it until midnight. He immediately said, Uncle Zong, what did you find out from this information? Just tell me directly. Yes, Zong Lu said respectfully and quickly. In Yuzhou, we found out that there were 18 people who had contact with Gong Yu. Among these 18 people, except for 4 who were not suspicious, the other 14 were very suspicious. We immediately sent people to capture these 14 people. However, when our people arrived, these 14 people were already dead. All dead. Tung Qingshan was shocked. Yes, not only did these 14 people die, but their families also died. Zong Lu answered. Tung Qingshan couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. The power that wanted to plot against him was indeed ruthless. In order to not be exposed, they even killed their own people, including the families of the 14 people. After all, the dead can't speak. The clues to find Gong Yu are broken. Zong Lu said respectfully, Sect Master, we can only conclude one thing. Gong Yu snuck into our Xingyi sect to learn fist arts. Then, he leaked the fist arts to the outside world to frame us. This was because he had been living a very simple and low-key life during this period of hiding. Moreover, he rarely went to places with many people. Obviously, he didn't betray the Xingyi sect for money or fame. Tung Qingshan nodded. Everything was confirmed. There was indeed a powerful power behind Gong Yu that was eyeing him like a tiger watching its prey. All right, Uncle Zong, if there's nothing else, you can go back and rest, Tung Qingshan said. Yes. After Zong Lu left respectfully, Tung Qingshan pondered for a long time in the study room alone. Then, he sent a voice transmission to Li Jun, asking her to come over. Qingshan, what's the matter? Li Jun smiled as she walked into the study room. Little Jun, ask the blade-like Qi to go to the boorish desolate immediately. Invite Little Blue here. From today onwards, the Xing Yi sect must be under martial law. At the same time, I will ask Little Blue to stay in the Great Yin Mountain for a long time, Tung Qingshan said solemnly. So serious? Li Jun was shocked. Yes. What a pity. Tung Qingshan shook his head and said, Yuzhou is not the territory of the Xing Yi sect. It is the territory of the Heavenly God Palace. The manpower of the Xing Yi sect there is limited. Although I know that many people of this power are hiding in Yuzhou, the Xing Yi sect can't owe the Heavenly God Palace too much. Tung Qingshan didn't want the help of the Heavenly God Palace. The Heavenly God Palace. We should stay away from them, Tung Qingshan said. Yes, I also feel that the Heavenly God Palace is becoming more and more dangerous. Li Jun nodded and said, when they gathered their troops in Yuzhou, I thought they would attack the Snowhawk Hall. However, who would have thought that the elite troops of Qingzhou and Yuzhou would gather together and cross thousands of li into the Great Prairie? Then, they gathered with the elite troops of the Great Prairie. Now, they are at the southernmost part of the Great Prairie. They are entering the desert. Tung Qingshan nodded. Yes, the Heavenly God Palace is really daring. Since 2 years ago, the Heavenly God Palace had gradually mobilized their troops and gathered more than 1 million elite troops of Qingzhou and Yuzhou. Then, they gathered with the elite troops of the Great Prairie. After marching for more than 10,000 li, they entered the vast desert. A 10,000 li desert. That was a forbidden area for life. There was a serious shortage of water in the desert. Moreover, horses couldn't run fast in the desert. Moreover, the desert was too vast. It was very difficult for the troops to march. It is obvious that the Heavenly God Palace wants to cross the 10,000 li desert and go around the countries of the western region. Then, they will attack the Mani Temple along the Golden Road. Tung Qingshan couldn't help but sigh. During this period of time, they will need a lot of food and water. Fortunately, the Heavenly God Palace only sent out their elite troops. The total number of troops in the 3 regions was only slightly more than 1 million. The Heavenly God Palace controlled nearly 1 billion people in their territory. This army of more than 1 million was definitely an elite troop. The 2 strongest sects in the land of the 9 prefectures are fighting. Li Jun smiled. Ever since the army of the Heavenly God Palace gathered at the edge of the desert, all the sects in the land of the 9 prefectures understood the intention of the Heavenly God Palace. Besides attacking the Mani Temple, there was no other possibility. Actually, there was an even simpler method. They could annihilate the Ying family, pass through Yongzhou, and then attack the Mani Temple's Rongzhou and Liangzhou. However, Yongzhou, where the Ying family was located, was surrounded by the 3,000 li Qinling Mountains. It was very difficult to break through. Obviously, the Heavenly God Palace didn't want to be enemies with the Ying family. They would rather take a detour through the 10,000 li desert. The Heavenly God Palace must have planned to annihilate Qinghu Island and the Shooting Sun God Mountain. Then, they could attack the Mani Temple. Tung Qingshan couldn't help but say, yes, this route is the easiest one among the 3. Qinghu Island and the Shooting Sun God Mountain are relatively weak. Li Jun nodded. Tung Qingshan smiled and said, Payson wants to attack the Mani Temple. Let the Mani Temple worry about this. It has nothing to do with us. Now, I have to find out who is plotting against the Xing Yi sect. In the following days, pieces of information were continuously sent to the Xing Yi sect and Tung Qingshan's desk. However, the value of these pieces of information was not high. They could not find out what kind of special plot the remnants of Qinghu Island had. I will deal with all the changes by remaining unchanged. I will find out who is plotting against me. Tung Shan guarded the great Yin Mountain. The undying phoenix, Little Blue, and the six-legged blade-like Qi were also in the great Yin Mountain. He was not afraid of anyone. The land of the 9 prefectures welcomed a strange period of peace. The army of the heavenly god palace was advancing slowly in the vast 10,000-li desert. However, there were no major movements in the land of the 9 prefectures. In the Xingyi sect of the great Yin Mountain, Rumble, the 2 doors of Tung Shan's cultivation room in the East Flower Garden opened with a loud bang. Tung Shan walked out. The entire East Flower Garden was covered in a silvery white color, and the ground was covered in snow. Shan. Li Jun went up to greet him. Tung Shan looked at Li Jun and shook his head helplessly. I always feel that I am very close to the insightful emptiness realm. However, every time I cultivate in seclusion, I always find that I still have some flaws. Every time I cultivate, I gain some enlightenment and improve a little. Tung Shan was also very helpless. It was as if he could already see a tall mountain in front of him. However, no matter how he hurried, the mountain was still in front of him. He could see it, but he could not reach it. However, I cannot rush. Tung Shan shook his head and said, just like my teacher, the Tao he comprehended is the Tao of life. He has been comprehending it for a long time, but he still has not reached the culmination stage. Sovereign Zhuge is too ambitious. Li Jun shook her head and said he could have comprehended the Tao of mist, but he refused. Instead, he wanted to comprehend the entire Tao of life. He could control 50% of the power of the heavens and the earth in one go. Zhuge Yuanhong and Mu Tao, who was in charge of the Gui Yuan sect, had a very good relationship. Ever since he knew about Duanmu Yu in the Duanmu continent. It was his first time stepping into the emptiness realm, yet he could control 50% of the power of the heavens and the earth. Since Mu Tao was in charge of the sect, Zhuge Yuanhong also calmed his heart and wanted to comprehend the Tao of life in one go. Teachers' actions are also beneficial. If he can comprehend the Tao of life in one go before stepping into the emptiness realm, it will be much easier for him to comprehend the Tao of heaven. Tung Shan smiled and said, in the future, it will be much easier for him to comprehend the Tao of heaven. Not long after Tung Shan came out of seclusion, Elder Zong Lu, who was in charge of intelligence, rushed over. At this moment, Tung Shan and Li Jun were sitting opposite each other in the living room, having lunch together. Thud, thud, thud. Zong Lu walked over rapidly, stepping on the snow. Uncle Zong. Tung Shan smiled and walked to the door of the living room to welcome Zong Lu. Sovereign, when I heard that you came out of seclusion, I immediately rushed over. Zong Lu immediately took out a stack of paper. Chapter 569. It's about Lin Lin, Zong Lu said. About Lin Lin? Tung Shan turned his head and exchanged a glance with Li Jun, who was walking over. Then, he took the stack of papers and said, Uncle Zong, you can go ahead with your work. We will look through the information slowly. Both Tung Shan and Li Jun attached great importance to their daughter, Hong Lin. 2 days later, in the East Flower Garden of the Xingyi sect in the Great Yin Mountain, father, mother, Hong Lin, who was dressed in tight clothes, dashed into the courtyard of her family's house. She shouted from afar with an excited smile on her face. Although the ground was covered with snow, Hong Lin was still very fast when she ran. She directly rushed into the courtyard. Lin Lin, you only know your father and mother. You don't even call them grandpa, Tung Yongfan, who had a lot of silver hair on his head, said with a smile. Yuan Lan looked at her granddaughter dotingly and said, Lin Lin, I haven't seen you for more than a month. Yes, you have grown even more beautiful. I wonder which young man will be lucky enough to marry our Lin Lin. Grandpa, Grandma. Hong Lin immediately greeted them sweetly. Tung Yongfan and Yuan Lan nodded with smiles on their faces. Father, Tung Shan said with a smile, Lin Lin has a sweetheart now. Oh, who is it? Tung Yongfan and Yuan Lan were shocked and looked at Hong Lin in surprise. Hong Lin touched her nose and looked at Tung Shan. Father, did my younger brother tell you? I also know that the lucky young man is called Fan Anren. Lin, am I right? Tung Ching Shan said with a smile. Li Jun, who was at the side, even smiled and said, I heard that my daughter and this Fan Anren went on a boat in broad daylight, hand in hand, and toured the lake together. Hong Lin's face turned red with embarrassment. Hand in hand? Tung Yong Fan was shocked. In a land of the 9 prefectures, men and women rarely held hands. Even when they were in the Gui Yuan sect, Tung Ching Shan and Zhuge Qing had never held hands. Not to mention holding hands in broad daylight. The significance of this was extraordinary. Where's this Fan Anren from? Tung Yong Fan couldn't help but ask. Anran is a disciple of the Gui Yuan sect. He is now a commandant of the Black Armored Corps, Hong Lin said honestly. Tung Ching Shan and Li Jun looked at each other and felt that something was wrong. He even called her Anran. This form of address was too intimate. Lin, Tung Ching Shan said with a smile, your mother and I, as well as your grandparents, all want to meet this young man called Fan Anren. When are you going to bring him home? Bring it home? Hong Lin blinked. Yes, it will be the annual sacrifice in 2 days. After the yearly sacrifice, you can bring Fan Anren to the house. Let your mother and I take a good look. Tung Ching Shan smiled and said, if this Fan Anren really wants to marry my daughter, then he would have to go through me. Otherwise, I will not agree. I have raised my daughter for almost 20 years. Hong Lin giggled. She knew her father's temper very well. He didn't care about the rich or the poor. He only cared about the person's character. Yes, okay. Hong Lin nodded. After the new year, I will bring him here to meet father and mother. Father and mother, you have to teach him a lesson. At night, Tung Ching Shan and Li Jun had already gone to bed. Ching Shan, according to the information we've gathered, this Fan Anren guy is still fine, but he's not that bad. However, the identity of his father is uncertain. Yes, his father only came to Yong in County 15 years ago. According to our investigation, he used to be a mounted bandit. We can't find any other information. The land of the 9 prefectures was too chaotic. Even with the power of the Xingyi sect, it was difficult to investigate the affairs of a destroyed mounted bandit gang 15 years ago. It's fine if his father's background is not clean. Let's see how this young man called Fan Anren is. Tung Ching Shan said, if this Fan Anren passes our test, he'll be very good. It will be good for him to be with Lin. Lin has already reached the marriageable age. Yes, at her age, I would have married you long ago, Ching Shan. Tung Ching Shan and his wife obviously attached great importance to their daughter's marriage. The annual sacrifice passed quickly. Hong Lin left the Xingyi sect and went to Yong'an County. Yong'an County. On the second floor of a tea house, a plain-looking young man with bright eyes was sitting opposite Hong Lin by the window. At this time of day, there were very few customers who came to drink tea. There were only 3 to 5 customers on the second floor. What? The young man was shocked. Go to your house. Yes. My father and mother want to meet you. Hong Lin nodded. The young man was stunned. He blinked his eyes and said, your father? I'm going to meet your father? The young man's breathing became rapid. On the other side, Hong Lin couldn't help but laugh. She knew that her sweetheart, Fan Anren, admired Tung Ching Shan very much. In fact, the majority of the younger generation in the land of the 9 prefectures had grown up listening to Tung Ching Shan's legends. Don't worry, Anran. My father won't eat you. Hong Lin covered her mouth and laughed. Phew. Fan Anren let out a long breath. Lin, your father. I'm going to see your father. Although I know that your father is Senior Tung Ching Shan, I have never seen him and I don't feel anything. However, the thought of seeing him, I feel nervous. I'm even more nervous than when I was in the Gui Yuan sect during the Centurion selection. Look at your useless appearance. In front of my father, you have to have some manliness. My father despises weak people the most, Hong Lin said deliberately. Fan Anren nodded. Don't worry. I won't embarrass you in front of your father. You have to remember, if you can't get past my father, don't even think about marrying me, Hong Lin said straightforwardly. Fan Anren had a bitter look on his face. Seeing this, Honglin couldn't help but laugh. While this pair of lovers were flirting, another person who was drinking tea at the side frowned and quickly left. Only Honglin and Fan Anren were left on the second floor. Get ready. We will leave the day after tomorrow, Honglin decided. Okay. Fan Anren nodded. What do you have to prepare to see my father? Let's go. Let's go and see what we can buy, Honglin said as she stood up. This pair of young people prepared some gifts and arrived at the Xing Yi sect in the Great Yin Mountain on the 21st day of the first month. In the living room, Tung Qingshan, Li Jun, Honglin, and Fan Anren, who had brought many gifts, were sitting at the same table and eating lunch. Anren. Tung Qingshan looked at this young man with a smile. Why are you only eating plain rice? You don't need me to help you eat, right? Fan Anren's face was slightly red. Beads of sweat could be seen on his forehead and nose. It was obvious that he was extremely nervous to sit at the same table as Tung Qingshan. No need, no need. Fan Anren quickly picked up some food for himself. Father, Honglin glared at Tung Qingshan and said, this is Anren's first time. He can't let go. Tung Qingshan smiled and exchanged glances with Li Jun, who was sitting beside him. After their initial contact, both husband and wife were satisfied with this young man named Fan Anren. After lunch, Anren, come with me. Tung Qingshan stood up and walked towards the door. Fan Anren froze. Hurry up and go, Honglin said in a low voice and pushed him. Fan Anren woke up with a start and hastily left with Tung Qingshan. Only Li Jun and Honglin were left in the living room. Mother, is everything okay? Honglin looked at Li Jun. It seems good now. Li Jun smiled and nodded. Later, your father will personally talk to Fan Anren. If he can get past your father, then the matter between you two will be settled. However, if he can't get past your father, then I can't do anything. Honglin snorted and said, Anren will definitely get past my father. Creak. Tung Qingshan pushed open the door of the study room and walked in. He walked toward the armchair at the side and sat down. Fan Anren then entered the study room. Tung Qingshan's study room was obviously more spacious. It was about 4 to 5 zhang wide. After Fan Anren entered, he seemed slightly reserved. Anren, Tung Qingshan said. Uncle, Fan Anren answered respectfully. What weapon did you use in the Gui Yuan sect? Tung Qingshan asked. I used a spear, Fan Anren said hastily. Tung Qingshan smiled and waved his right hand outside. The branch of a big tree in the courtyard was immediately broken. The messy branches were all cut off. Then, a wooden stick flew into the study room and landed in Tung Qingshan's hand. Show me your most powerful spear art. This place is good enough, right? Tung Qingshan smiled and threw the wooden stick over. Fan Anren reached out his hand and caught it. He took a deep breath and cupped his hands. Uncle, please guide me. After he finished speaking, Fan Anren's entire aura changed. For a moment, he was as sharp as a sword. With a pa sound, Fan Anren began to display his spear art. Fan Anren's spear art was extremely fast. Every move was as fierce as a wild wolf biting. For a moment, the entire study room was filled with the shadows of the spear. Yes, Tung Qingshan nodded slightly. One could see a person's character from his spear art. Fan Anren was definitely a person with a firm heart. Otherwise, his spear art wouldn't be so imposing. Only by putting one's heart could one practice a good spear art. Similarly, one could also see part of a person's heart from his spear art. Tung Qingshan frowned slightly. As the #1 spear artist in the land of the 9 prefectures, Tung Qingshan felt an obscure ruthlessness from Fan Anren's spear art. Is there a ruthlessness hidden in the depths of Fan Anren's heart? Could it be that he was tortured when he was young? Tung Qingshan's heart stirred. Anren, use your most powerful technique. Tung Qingshan's voice suddenly became a little strange. It faintly carried a strange fluctuation. In his previous life, Tung Qingshan was already somewhat proficient in hypnosis. In this life, his spirit was extremely powerful, so he understood the principles of hypnosis even better. To hypnotize a person who hadn't even reached the innate realm, it was too easy. One should know that the God of Heaven Mountain could even affect the 80,000 soldiers of Hong Tian City who were unafraid of death with just his voice. Even if Tung Shan wasn't as powerful as that god of heaven, hypnotizing Fan Anren was a piece of cake. For the sake of his daughter, Tung Shan obviously had to carefully investigate Fan Anren's background. End of the second chapter. Continue writing the third chapter. Chapter 570. Hearing Tung Shan's voice, Fan Anren's eyes faintly glowed with a blood-red light. He unleashed his spear technique in a frenzy. At the same time, a furious roar came from his throat. Kill. All of you die. None of you can escape. None of you can escape. All of you die. In an instant, powerful chi shot out from his spear technique. Chi, the five-colored power of the world, instantly filled the entire study. When Fan Anren's spear was about to attack the items in the study, it would naturally be blocked by the power of the world. Fan Anren was like a wild beast, and his throat emitted strange sounds. Tung Shan's expression became very serious. I didn't expect this Fan Anren to have such a crazy and ruthless aura hidden in the depths of his heart. Originally, Tung Shan thought that even if Fan Anren had sorrow and hatred in his heart, it might not be too intense. But from the looks of it now, this ruthless aura was shockingly powerful. Strange. This Fan Anren said that he wants to kill people and kill all of them. Who does he want to kill? Also, in front of me, you were very simple and kind. However, there was such a ruthless aura hidden in his heart. How can a person's appearance and heart be so different? Tung Shan had already denied this young man called Fan Anren in his heart. Even if there was a difference between one's inner heart and outer appearance, it shouldn't be too big. Wearing a mask was normal. But for someone like Fan Anren, with such a huge contrast, it was not normal. This meant that this Fan Anren's ability to endure was too strong, and he hid all of this in the depths of his heart. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came from outside. What happened? What happened? Tung Shan glanced outside. Li Jun and Lin Lin had rushed over. This was also because Tung Shan deliberately did not isolate the sound, so that his daughter could see Fan Anren's crazy and violent side with her own eyes. Honglin looked at the scene in front of her in astonishment. She couldn't believe that this man, who was as crazy as a wild beast, was her sweetheart. Anren! Honglin suddenly shouted. This shout was like a bucket of cold water being poured on Fan Anren, causing him to suddenly wake up. What's wrong with me? Fan Anren was a little flustered. Anren, what happened to you just now? What happened? Honglin was slightly panicked, while Fan Anren looked at Tung Shan. Honglin turned to look at her father and asked anxiously, Father, what happened to Anren just now? How did Anren become like that? Father, tell me quickly. Tung Shan looked at his daughter, Honglin. I didn't do anything. I just wanted Fan Anren to reveal the deepest part of his heart. Then, he looked at Fan Anren with an ice-cold gaze. Fan Anren felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Fear. Tung Shan instantly caught the look in Fan Anren's eyes. Is he panicking? What's there to panic about? Is he panicking because he lost his composure? Or is he afraid that I'll discover something in the depths of his heart? Uncle Yu, what did you do to me? What happened to me just now? Fan Anren looked at Tung Shan, then turned to look at Hong Lin and asked, Lin Lin, what happened to me just now? Just now, you looked like you wanted to kill someone. You were like a crazy beast, Hong Lin said worriedly. Li Jun, who was at the side, frowned as she looked at Fan Anren. Young man, Tung Shan said indifferently, can you explain why you behaved like that just now? Fan Anren looked at Tung Shan and then at Hong Lin, who had a worried expression on her face. He took a deep breath and said, Lin Lin, I'll tell you the truth. My father wasn't a blacksmith in the past. In fact, he used to be a mounted bandit. As for me, I'm the son of a mounted bandit. Mounted bandit? Hong Lin froze. Tung Shan frowned slightly. Actually, he had already found out about this a long time ago. Yes. Fan Anren nodded slightly and said, when I was very young, I was in a mounted bandit's lair. Fan Anren seemed to be immersed in his memories. Although I was in a mounted bandit's lair, those uncles treated me very well. However, when I was 7 years old, the mounted bandit gang that my father was in was attacked by another gang. Fan Amren's body trembled slightly. In that calamity, my father's gang was finished. They were all finished. Leader, what about the other uncles? Uncles, one by one, either died or fled. And my mother? Fan Amren clenched his teeth and said, at the beginning, my mother was killed by an arrow. The other women in the mounted bandits' lair were either killed or taken away. At that time, my father took me and fled in panic. Finally, he was able to keep his life. Later on, my father and I came to Owen County. When my father was in a mounted bandits' lair, he often helped forge weapons and had some blacksmithing skills. Relying on this skill, he established a foothold in Yeoman County. Fan Amren's eyes revealed a hint of ruthlessness. However, the mounted bandit gang that killed my mother and uncles. I always wanted to take revenge. However, later on, I found out that when I was 10 years old, that gang was destroyed by another gang. I wanted to take revenge, but there was nowhere to do it. Fan Amren's body trembled in pain. Don't be sad. Hong Lin hastily walked over and held Fan Amren's hand. Fan Amren looked at Hong Lin gratefully. Young man, Tung Qingshan's voice sounded. Uncle. Fan Amren looked at Tung Qingshan. This matter isn't a shameful one. Why did you keep it a secret? Tung Qingshan looked at him indifferently. Fan Amren smiled bitterly and said, after coming to Yeoman County, my father tried to send me to the Gui Yuan sect. Most of the disciples in the Gui Yuan sect were either from rich families or from the countryside. They looked down on mounted bandits and mounted bandits. If they knew that my father was a mounted bandit, I would definitely be looked down upon. When I was young, I didn't want to be looked down upon, so I didn't tell them. After a long time, I didn't want to tell them. Amren. Hong Lin thought of her own life and Fan Amren's miserable life. She couldn't help but lean towards Fan Amren. Father, that's enough. Hong Lin looked at Tung Qingshan discontentedly. Let Amren rest, Tung Qingshan ordered. As he watched his daughter and Fan Amren leave, Tung Qingshan's face darkened. Only Tung Qingshan and his wife were left in the study room. Qingshan, how is he? Li Jun inquired. He's not suitable. Tung Qingshan shook his head and said, if a normal person encountered such a great difficulty when he was young, he would have suffered a calamity at the age of 7. He entered the Gui Yuan sect at the age of 8. What do you think he should be like? Li Jun was startled and said, yes, such a great calamity. He's young. He should have a strange temperament, or he should be cold and unsociable. However, according to the investigation, this Fan Amren entered the Gui Yuan sect at a young age and has always been a very good child. He's very obedient. Moreover, he gets along very well with his fellow disciples. When Fan Amren is mentioned, his fellow disciples all praise him. Tung Qingshan smiled and said, after experiencing a great calamity, a child who entered the Gui Yuan sect is so obedient and has a good relationship with his fellow disciples. Don't you think it's strange? Li Jun nodded slightly. Moreover, just now in the study room, based on my experience and feeling, this Fan Amren should be hiding something from us. Tung Qingshan shook his head and said, this kind of person is not suitable for Linlin. In the evening, Father, do you think he's not suitable? After dinner, the family of 3 was sitting together. When she heard Tung Qingshan's words, Hong Lin was startled. Yes. Tung Qingshan nodded and said, this Fan Amren is different from the outside. He's not suitable for you. What do you mean by different from the inside? Hong Lin suddenly became angry. She was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. Amren encountered a great calamity when he was young. Even his mother died. Of course, he felt pain and hatred. However, he could only bury it in his heart and didn't dare to tell anyone. This time, Father, you drew out the hatred from the depths of his heart. This is already very bad. Father, did you say that Amren is different from the outside? Tung Qingshan frowned slightly. Li Jun, who was at the side, hastily said, Linlin, sit down. How can you talk to your father like that? Hong Lin took a deep breath and sat down again. Linlin, Tung Ching Shan looked at his daughter calmly and said, "If you believe me, then don't have any contact with this Fan Anren anymore." Father. Honglin looked at Tung Ching Shan with a pained expression. In Honglin's heart, the person she admired the most was her father. When she was young, she grew up listening to the legends of Tung Ching Shan. Although she was sometimes mischievous, as long as Tung Ching Shan's words were serious, Honglin would absolutely not dare to disobey. However, this time, it was related to the first person she liked since she was young. Father, don't. Honglin's eyes were filled with tears. This Fan Anren is not suitable for you. If you want evidence, I will find it for you within a year, said Tung Ching Shan. Now cut off contact with him. Honglin didn't say anything and remained silent for a long time. Father, I am going to sleep. Honglin directly left the room. Watching Honglin leave, Tung Ching Shan couldn't help but frown. He didn't know how to persuade his daughter. Li Jun also had a worried expression. The next day, at dawn, the sky was still dark. In East Flower Garden, in Honglin's boudoir, Tung Ching Shan and Li Jun both walked in. Lin Lin left. You didn't stop her? Li Jun frowned and said unhappily. Tung Ching Shan shook his head and pointed at the dressing table not far away. Last night, Lin Lin was in front of the dressing table the whole night. She didn't sleep. I know Lin Lin. She is very stubborn. I can't stop her by force. If she wants to leave, let her go. With little Ching following her secretly, nothing will happen. Last night, Tung Ching Shan didn't rest either. He was constantly sensing his daughter's location and guessing her thoughts. Li Jun walked to the dressing table and said, "There are 2 letters here. Ching Shan, this one is for you and the other one is for me." Tung Ching Shan took the letter. To Father. Tung Ching Shan opened the envelope and took out the paper inside. When he saw it, Tung Ching Shan's heart trembled. He could still see the tear stains on the paper. There were 2 pieces of paper in total. As he read, Tung Ching Shan's expression became uglier and paler. What's wrong? Li Jun came over and saw the letter in Tung Ching Shan's hand. When she saw it, she couldn't help but say angrily, "How can this child speak like this?" Ching Shan, don't be angry. Lin Lin wrote this because she was hot-headed, Li Jun said hastily. Tung Ching Shan looked down at the letter and felt a pain in his heart. Then he shook his head with a bitter smile and said, "I also want to see if I'm wrong about her, or if my daughter has better taste." This is the 3rd chapter. Continue writing the 4th chapter. Chapter 571. Father, ever since I was young, I always felt that you were the wisest. You told me in the past that when I marry someone, I don't care about his family background. I only care about his character. As long as he's a good person, you will agree. You also said that you won't force your children to marry like other parents. However, I learned today that I'm the same as other parents. Father, I learned that I'm the same as other parents. That is, marriage is decided by parents. You said that Anren is a good person. However, there are thousands of people in the Gui Yuan sect who know Anren. How many of them say that he's a bad person? Could it be that the thousands of people in the Gui Yuan sect are wrong? I've known him for almost a year. How could I be wrong? Father, you only spent half a day with him and decided that he's not suitable for you? I understand. Father, you must be right. You know that Anren was a mounted bandit. You must be the daughter of the founder of the Xing Yi sect and the founder of the internal martial art. How could you marry the son of a mounted bandit? Is this a disgrace to you? Am I right? Father, don't deny it. I know it too. The more powerful a person is, the more he values his reputation. I can understand. Maybe my happiness is not as important as my reputation. Back then, for happiness, I didn't regret crossing the sea with you. Now, for happiness, I'm willing to marry the son of a mounted bandit. A message from your daughter, Honglin. The words in the letter were filled with resentment and injustice. Obviously, Tung Ching Shan forced her to cut off contact with Fan Anren. This made Honglin feel pain, anger, and unwillingness. A woman immersed in love was indeed irrational. She even thought that Tung Ching Shan did this because of his reputation. Tung Ching Shan felt sad. He didn't expect that his obedient daughter, whom he had doted on since she was young, would think of him like this. Little June, you see, Lin Lin is learning from you. She said that when you cross the sea to pursue happiness, she also wants to pursue her happiness. Teng Qingshan looked at his wife. This child has lost her mind. Li Jun shook her head. Qingshan, don't take Lin Lin's words to heart. How could he not take it to heart? Ever since she was young, she was afraid that it would melt in her mouth, and if she touched her hand, she was afraid that it would fall. Teng Qingshan had spoiled Hong Lin a lot when she was young. He had always believed that daughters should be spoiled and sons should be stricter. Teng Qingshan really didn't have any other thoughts for his daughter, but who would have thought that? She ran away with a man and abandoned her father. There's no way to persuade Lin Lin right now, Teng Qingshan said, shaking his head despite his heartache. We can only let her try her luck. Only then will she see the truth. I am 80% sure that this Fan Anren is faking it. It's just that his disguise is very clever. What did Teng Qingshan do in his previous life? To be a killer. He was proficient in disguise. This Fan Anren was still lacking compared to Teng Qingshan. However, there was no knowing what was in a man's heart. Teng Qingshan could only say that he was 80% sure. Fortunately, I asked Little Blue to follow him. Teng Qingshan felt slightly relieved. However, Qingshan, wasn't what you said to Little Blue a little too ruthless? Li Jun frowned. Ruthless? Anyone who dares to threaten my daughter deserves to die. In Teng Qingshan's heart, he absolutely wouldn't allow anyone to hurt his family. Li Jun smiled. However, Qingshan, if you made a mistake this time, I made a mistake? Teng Qingshan laughed self-mockingly. If that's the case, it'll be great. I'll be satisfied if I can make my daughter happy after being mocked by her. What I'm afraid of is that I didn't make a mistake. Asterisk, 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 ja. Ja. Two azure, mane treading in snow horses galloped on the official road. Fan Anren and Hong Lin were riding on these two horses. Actually, over these years, the undying phoenix, Little Blue, had several bird-type, demonic beast tribes under her command. Therefore, there were over 10 bird-type demonic beasts in the Great Yin Mountain. Although these bird-type demonic beasts weren't strong, they were extremely fast. Usually, Hong Lin and Hongwu would ride birds to travel between the Great Yin Mountain and Yong'an County. It was fast and safe. However, this time, Hong Lin was acting out of spite. She rode her horse out. Lin Lin slowed down. Slow down. Fan Anren chased after her. However, Hong Lin spurred her horse and galloped at full speed in front of them. Ever since they left the Great Yin Mountain, Hong Lin's heart was in great pain. At first, she was filled with anger. The glorious image of Teng Qingshan in her heart had collapsed. It turned out that her father was like other parents who tyrannically interfered with his daughter's marriage. Father, you're really disappointing, Hong Lin shouted in her heart. The speed of the horse finally slowed down. Lin Lin, Lin Lin. Fan Anren finally caught up. What are you doing? Hong Lin glanced at him. Fan Anren revealed a smile. Lin Lin, I know that your father doesn't like me. However, you still came with me. Thank you. Hong Lin's tears turned into laughter. She glared at him and then revealed a smile. You have a conscience. Alas, I originally thought that your father would like me. I don't know how he became like this. Fan Anren seemed somewhat distressed. Forget it. How can you guess my father's thoughts? Hong Lin shook her head and said, However, Anren, don't let me down. Hong Lin stared at him. I won't. Fan Anren laughed softly. If you let me down, I'll kill you. Hong Lin snorted deliberately. You're not my match. Okay. Heroine, I'm afraid. Fan Anren deliberately begged for mercy. Hong Lin couldn't help but let out a clear and melodious laugh. Her laughter reverberated on both sides of the official road. The two horses advanced southwest at an astonishing speed. About 2,000 to 3,000 zhang above the two horses, a blurry mass of cloud about 5 to 6 zhang in length was also moving slowly. Inside this cloud was the fiery red, undying phoenix, Little Blue. Little Blue could easily see through the cloud and see the two horses below. It could even see the little white bird on Hong Lin's horse. Ever since Hong Lin and Fan Anren returned to the Gue Yuan sect in Yong, and County, Tung Ching Shan received information about them almost every day. Tung Ching Shan paid attention to his daughter all the time. However, everything was peaceful. In the blink of an eye, it was already March. In the county city of Yong and County, Fan Anren's home was in a very ordinary courtyard. Uncle Fan, Honglin smiled as she carried a basket of fruits. Little girl, you're here. You even bought fruits? If you have some money, why don't you buy some good wine? Your uncle likes to drink wine. A messy old man who reeked of alcohol opened his bloodshot eyes and muttered. He struggled to stand up. Father, why did you drink wine again? You drank so much, Fan Anren said discontentedly. The messy old man shook his head and said, Nothing. I just thought of your mother. Anren, in half a month, it will be your mother's death anniversary. Get ready and follow me out of the city to pay our respects to your mother. Okay. Fan Anren nodded. The messy old man walked into his house. Anren, are you going to pay your respects to your mother? When are you leaving? Hong Lin asked. I will leave in 7 or 8 days. Fan Anren sighed and said, My mother's grave is actually a cenotaph. The place where the grave is located is close to the den of mounted bandits where I lived when I was young. It is within the borders of Yenzhou. Yong and County is the county closest to Yenzhou in Yangzhou. However, it will take 4 or 5 days to get there. It's better to leave earlier. At this moment, Fan Anren seemed a little sad. Okay, Hong Lin nodded. Lin. Fan Anren's eyes suddenly brightened. Why don't you come with me to pay our respects to my mother? My mother, if she can see you, we can go and pay our respects together. She will definitely be very happy in the underworld when she sees my daughter-in-law. Daughter-in-law? Hong Lin glared at him. Fan Anren smiled shamelessly and said, When the time comes, we will go to pay our respects to my mother. Okay? Me? Hong Lin was startled. She was a little tempted, but she shook her head and said, No, my father doesn't allow me to run around. Going to pay respects to my mother with me is also running around? Fan Anren was a little angry. Then, he shook his head and said, All right, forget it. If you don't want to go, then don't go. Anren, it's not like that. Hong Lin struggled for a while and then made a decision. She nodded and smiled. All right, Anren, I will go with you. I also want to pay my respects to your mother. Really? Fan Anren was a little surprised. Of course. Why? Why are you so surprised? Hong Lin smiled proudly. Thank you. Fan Anren grabbed Hong Lin's hand and said gratefully. Hong Lin blushed slightly. She didn't struggle and let Fan Anren hold her hand. At this moment, in a mansion in the Gui Yuan sect, the undying phoenix was lying there, using its domain to sense Hong Lin's location. On the 28th of March, Hong Lin, Fan Anren, and Fan Anren's father, Fan Wudong, left Yong and County in the morning. In the evening, in an ordinary mansion in Xianan City, a small city in Nanqing County in Yangzhou, a silver-haired old man was running toward the depths of the mansion. He ran along the corridor and the gate of the courtyard for a while. Then, he arrived at a quiet courtyard. The silver-haired old man couldn't help but hold his breath when he arrived at the entrance of the courtyard. After thinking for a while, he said respectfully, Sir, a secret letter from Yong and County. Come in. A deep voice sounded. The silver-haired old man pushed the door open carefully and saw a tall man standing in the courtyard. He was barefooted and wore a sackcloth robe. His long hair hung loosely over his shoulders, and he had a strange charm. Most importantly, he wore a golden mask on his face. All right, you may leave. The mysterious man with the golden mask took the secret letter and waved his hand. Yes. After the silver-haired old man left respectfully, the mysterious man with the golden mask opened the secret letter and read it carefully. Under the cover of the golden mask, his expression couldn't be seen clearly. However, as he read, he suddenly let out a strange laugh. Once, twice. Tung Ching Shan, let's see how you can avoid the third time. 4 chapters completed. I solemnly inform everyone. It's the last day of March. Brothers, if you don't cast your monthly vote on the last day, it will expire and become invalid. You can vote by clicking on the recommended monthly vote support author below. monthly votes, vote for me. Chapter 572. On the evening of the 28th of March, in a Xingyi sect in the Great Yin Mountain, a small, fist-sized, green-feathered bird flew into the Xingyi sect from the southwest like a sharp arrow. It flew into a mansion that the bird was used to living in. A disciple of the Xingyi sect immediately ran to the bird and took out a secret letter sealed in a bamboo tube from the bird's leg. There were 3 golden sword marks on the bamboo tube. A secret letter with 3 swords? The disciple was startled. This was the highest level secret letter in the Xingyi sect. Normally, secret letters would be read by the subordinates of Elder Zhong Lu. However, the highest level secret letter will be delivered directly to Elder Zhong Lu. I have to report this to the elder immediately. The young disciple immediately flew towards Zhong Lu's location. After a while, in the East Flower Garden, Tung Qingshan was studying a fist art in an open space. Because he was concerned about his daughter, Tung Qingshan couldn't cultivate in seclusion for a month. Sovereign. Elder Zhong Lu's voice came from outside. Phew. Tung Qingshan stopped and exhaled slowly. Uncle Zhong, what's so urgent? Tung Qingshan smiled and turned his head. He saw Elder Zhong Lu's face was full of anxiety. Elder Zhong Lu handed over the secret letter and said, Sovereign, something bad has happened. This is a secret letter that was just sent from Yong'an County. The secret letter says that Lin Lin left Yong'an County. What? Tung Qingshan was startled. Why did Lin leave Yong'an County? Tung Qingshan immediately took the secret letter from Elder Zhong Lu and read it carefully. Elder Zhong Lu didn't say anything. Reading the secret letter, Tung Qingshan's face darkened. She left Yong'an County with Fan Anren and his father, Fan Wudong. I think they're going to pay their respects to Fan Anren's deceased mother. Tung Qingshan was very angry. This matter seemed to be reasonable, but Tung Qingshan had already given his daughter and son an order in the past. For now, he was only allowed to stay in the Great Yin Mountain in Yong'an County. They were not allowed to go out easily. If they really wanted to go somewhere else, they had to get permission from Tung Qingshan. All along, his daughter and son had been doing a good job, but his daughter had gone out with Fan Anren without informing him at all. Tung Qingshan understood that his daughter was obviously angry with him. At the same time, it also showed that his daughter really trusted this young man called Fan Anren. My daughter doesn't have any of the astuteness she used to have. Tung Qingshan shook his head. Sectmaster, Lin went out like this. I'm worried that the faction that is plotting against the Xingyi sect will take action. Elder Zhong Lu said anxiously. We can't be careless when it comes to Lin's life. If we're really captured by that force, it'll be troublesome. Don't worry. A cold glint flashed across Tung Qingshan's eyes. If that force really shows itself, it's a good thing. This time, I've already asked Little Blue to follow Lin and protect her. If Lin is really in danger, we might be able to use this opportunity to find out who's behind this. How dare they plot against me again and again? If they still want to touch my daughter, I'll definitely eradicate them. Tung Qingshan hated enemies who threaten the lives of his loved ones the most. Just wait and see. If they're really here to pay their respects to Fan Anren's mother, then forget it. If there's a conspiracy behind this, I want to see who's behind this. A cold glint flashed across Tung Qingshan's eyes. He couldn't help but exert force in his right hand. The secret letter in his hand immediately turned into dust. On the evening of the 30th of March, Jia, on the official road in Yinzhou, 3 fine horses were galloping. Wherever they passed, they kicked up a cloud of dust. Lin, it's getting late, and we're in the middle of nowhere. I think we should find somewhere nearby and spend the night. Fan Anren carried a long spear on his back as he rode his horse alongside Honglin. Okay. Honglin looked at the sky. The sun had already set. The sky was dark. It was obvious that it was getting dark. Anren, how about this? We'll rest for the night on the barren land by the road ahead. Okay. Fan Anren smiled and nodded. He turned around to look at Fan Wudong, who was riding behind him. He shouted, Father, let's rest here. Okay, the disheveled old man responded, with the sound of horses neighing. The 3 fine horses stopped on the barren land, not far away. First, the 3 fine horses were tied to a big tree at the side. Sigh. Old man Fan Wutong swung his arms and shook his head. I'm getting old. I didn't expect that on the 3rd day of the journey, my whole body would be sore from the bumpy road. While I was a mounted bandit, I rode on a horse every day. I'm getting old. My body is getting worse. As he spoke, Fan Wutong casually sat on a patch of weeds. Lin Lin, father, eat something. Fan Anren opened the package and placed it on the barren land. There was a lot of food in the package. Lin Lin, we'll make do for tonight, Fan Anren said with a smile. It's okay. If there's a chance later, we might be able to hunt some pheasants. Hong Lin looked around and rolled her eyes, appearing very mischievous. Fan Anren looked around and said, This is the wilderness. It's really hard to find pheasants. As he spoke, he took 2 bites of the flatbread. Then he took out a water bottle from his waist and handed it to Hong Lin. He said with a smile, Lin Lin, come, drink some water. We've been on the road for such a long time and haven't drunk any water. Is your throat dry? Yes, it's dry. Hong Lin coughed on purpose. Fan Anren couldn't help but chuckle. You guys chat. I'll go to the side. Old man Fan Wutong blinked his eyes and walked to the side. Hong Lin and Fan Anren looked at each other and grinned. Hong Lin immediately grabbed the water bottle, raised her head, and drank. Glug glug. Fan Anren was slightly dazed as he stared at her white neck. The sound of Hong Lin drinking water was so clear in his ears. Sigh. Fan Anren let out a long sigh. Anren, why are you sighing? You look like an old man. Hong Lin put down the water bottle, wiped the corner of her mouth, and said with a smile, It's nothing. I just feel a little uncomfortable. Fan Anren took the water bottle and looked down at it. Then he looked at Hong Lin again. His gaze was very special. Sometimes it was sad, sometimes it was loving, and sometimes it was resentful. Hong Lin was startled. Why are you looking at me like that? It's scary. Ah. Hong Lin's expression suddenly changed, and she frowned. Anren, Hong Lin said to Fan Anren anxiously, Don't drink the water. There's something wrong with the water in this bottle. It's poisonous. As she spoke, Hong Lin's face turned slightly pale. It's poisonous, Fan Anren said indifferently. He lowered his head and looked at the kettle in his hand. Then he shook his head and smiled. He threw the kettle in an arc, and it fell on the ground. Gurgle, the water in the kettle flowed out continuously. This poison is called bone-softening powder. You won't die after drinking it. However, your limbs will be weak, and you won't be able to use your inner strength. I'm afraid you won't even be able to defeat a child. Fan Anren stood up, and the disheveled old man, Fan Wutong, also stood up. The disheveled old man, who had seemed muddle-headed, suddenly became spirited. He became much more valiant. Bone-softening powder? Hong Lin stared fixedly at Fan Anren. He didn't look handsome, and he was just a simple young man with delicate features. Even a fool would understand what was going on at this moment. Anren, why? Hong Lin still couldn't believe it. This silly girl. Fan Wutong, who was at the side, looked down at Hong Lin and sneered. Tung Hong Lin, if you want to blame someone, blame your father. Blame my father? Hong Lin shook her head and continued to stare at Fan Anren. Anren, tell me, why? Why did you do this? Everything you told me in the past was fake? At this moment, although her entire body was weak, Hong Lin was like an angry lion. She glared at the only man she had ever loved. Tung Hong Lin. Fan Anren looked at her and shook his head with a smile. I don't hate you, but I don't like you either. I really can't feel a shred of love for the daughter of an enemy who destroyed my family. Tung Hong Lin's heart turned cold. The daughter of my enemy? Can't feel any love for him? Even though she knew it was Fan Anren who poisoned her, Tung Hong Lin still couldn't believe it. Everything that happened in the past year was just an act. I have to admit that Tung Ching Shan is Tung Ching Shan. He's a great figure in the land of the 9 prefectures. I think I've done enough. Even my adoptive father couldn't see any flaws in it. However, Tung Shan could. Fan Anren smiled faintly. Unfortunately, no matter how wise a person is, his daughter isn't necessarily smart. Foster father, inform them, Fan Anren said. Fan Wudong nodded and quickly took out a whistling arrow from his bag. Chi-Chi, after it was ignited. Xiao, the whistling arrow flew through the air, emitting an ear-piercing sound. Anren, you, how could you? Honglin couldn't believe it. You are a disciple of the Gui Yuan sect. How could you? She couldn't believe that a young man who had lived in the Gui Yuan sect since he was young was actually fake. 15 years. Foster father and I pretended to be in Yong, in county for 15 years. No, to be more accurate, foster father pretended to be me for 15 years. I pretended to be me for 10 years. 10 years ago, after I found out the truth, I, Fan Anren, knew what I should do. I, Fan Anren, know what I should do. Fan Anren's gaze was sharp. When he first joined the Gui Yuan sect, he did not pretend. At that time, he didn't know his background at all. Later, he found out. My foster father and I have been together for 15 years. We waited for this day. It's enough to catch you. The light in Fan Anren's eyes was frightening. No. Honglin still couldn't believe it. The man who was so sweet with her and even prepared to marry her suddenly became like this. This was a nightmare. A nightmare she didn't want to believe. He's here. Fan Anren and Fan Wudong looked at the distant official road. The sound of horses' hooves could be heard. There are only 4.5 hours left in March. Brothers, if we don't vote now, when are we going to vote? Chapter 573. 2 fine horses and a horse carriage were rushing over at high speed. The lake has stopped flowing. A loud shout came from afar. The old man, Fan Wutong, immediately replied. Shan's expression has changed. Lulu. The newcomers immediately stopped. The leader was a tall man with a saber on his back. His most obvious feature was his pair of ears. This person's eyes were like lightning, and it was obvious that his strength was astonishing. He glanced at Fan Anren, Fan Wudong, and Honglin, who had no strength to stand up. He smiled and said, Congratulations, you two. You have made a great contribution. Fan Anren and Fan Wudong smiled faintly. Guards. As the order was given, 2 young girls rushed out of the carriage, each holding an iron chain. After coming to Honglin's side, they handcuffed Honglin's hands and feet behind her back. Honglin's eyes were filled with resentment and pain. Kill me if you can. Kill me. Honglin roared at Fan Anren. No hurry. It's not time yet, Fan Anren said indifferently, not caring about Honglin's expression. Soon, Honglin was brought into the carriage by the 2 young girls. Fan Wutong, Fan Anren, and the others escorted the carriage and quickly left in the hazy night. Thousands of zhang high in the sky. The undying phoenix, Little Blue, was surrounded by clouds, staring at the scene below. Little Blue's intelligence was not lower than that of humans. Of course, she knew what was going on. According to Tung Shan's instructions, as long as his daughter's life was not in danger or she was not disabled, there was no need to worry. They would take action when they found the force behind it. Below, the carriage and horses moved forward, and the undying phoenix followed them in the sky. Not long after, the carriage left the official road and entered an ordinary path. It was bumpy all the way, and when the sky was completely dark, it finally arrived at a mysterious mountain villa built in the forest. Inside the mountain villa, who were they capturing? Why are they so mysterious? Some of the men in the mountain villa were obviously not clear about the identity of the person they captured today. Don't worry so much. Do what you need to do, the leader shouted. The carriage stopped in the front yard of the villa, and there was a huge iron cage in the front yard. A bare-chested bald man strode over and opened the door of the iron cage with a clang. Soon after, 2 young girls in the carriage escorted Honglin, whose body was weak and couldn't even walk, to the door of the iron cage. He gave a fierce push. Honglin's entire body was exhausted, and she collapsed in the iron cage. Light the torches, the leader with a pair of prominent ears shouted. Chi-Chi, the entire front yard was instantly lit up with 8 torches, illuminating the entire front yard. The leader looked at the people around him and shouted, "From now on, 6 people in a group, stay around the iron cage and keep a close eye on this girl." No mistakes were allowed. Every 6 hours, there would be a new batch of people. Take turns. Remember, you must watch carefully. If this girl escapes, all of us, including me, will definitely die. The leader's voice was ice cold. Most of these people didn't know who this girl was. When they heard what their leader said, they were all shocked. "Don't worry, big brother. She's locked in the iron cage, and we can all see her. Nothing will happen to her," the bare-chested bald man yelled as he patted his chest. If anyone is tired and wants to sleep, just tell me. If you're really tired, just tell me, and I'll get someone to take your place. Don't ever fall asleep while watching over this girl. As long as someone is asleep, as long as I discover him, I will immediately take his life." At this moment, no mistakes can be allowed. The leader's words made everyone's heart tremble. Taking his life just because he dozed off? Haha, aren't you afraid of my father? In the iron cage, Hong Lin, whose hair was messy and face was pale, sneered. "Shut up," the leader shouted. "If you want me to shut up, I'll shut up. If you have the ability, just kill me. My father will make all of you die miserably." Like a crazy she-wolf, Hong Lin stared at Fan Anren, who had been silent all this time. At this moment, a white little bird flew through the iron cage and perched on Hong Lin's shoulder. Little White. Hong Lin looked at the little bird on her shoulder with a sour expression. "What's wrong with that little bird?" The leader with the big ears outside shouted with a frown. Fan Anren, who was at the side, said calmly, "This little bird is just a plaything she keeps. It's nothing." Keeping a bird? She's indeed a lady from a big family. How boring. The leader sneered and walked to the side, sitting cross-legged on the ground. Fan Anren and Fan Wudong also sat cross-legged on the ground. On the 3rd floor of a pavilion in the manor, a black-clothed man saw the scene in the front yard through the window. He smiled and said, "Finally, Tung Qingshan's daughter is caught." Then he took out a messenger pigeon from the birdcage beside him. The messenger pigeon's leg was tied with a secret letter. The messenger pigeon flew out of the window and quickly flew toward Yangzhou, disappearing into the night. Yangzhou, Exine, and city in Nanqing County, in that ordinary mansion. Late at night. "You can leave." The mysterious golden-masked man looked at the secret letter in his hand and waved his hand. The silver-haired elder left respectfully, leaving the golden-masked man alone in the courtyard. "It has finally begun. Tung Qingshan, I'm not interested in your daughter at all. Killing your daughter is too easy for you," the mysterious golden-masked man murmured in a low voice. The mysterious golden-masked man murmured in a low voice. Then he laughed strangely and walked into his house. In this room, only the light from the candles could barely illuminate the room. The mysterious golden-masked man held a writing brush and quickly wrote something on a piece of paper. After that, he carefully put the secret letter into the envelope. Holding the secret letter in his hand, the golden-masked man walked out of the house. Like a gust of wind, he swayed easily and came to the backyard of the mansion. In the dark backyard, there was a huge flying demonic beast that was more than 30 feet long lying on the ground. This flying demonic beast suddenly opened its eyes. Its blood-red eyes seemed to carry a bloody aura. This huge flying demonic beast used its head to rub the arm of the golden-masked man familiarly. Screech, screech, a series of bird chirps came from the throat of the golden-masked man. The huge flying demonic beast let out a cry and immediately soared into the sky. Whoosh! The golden-masked man jumped several zhang high and landed on the back of this black flying demonic beast. Tung Qingshan, this time, I will make you feel pain and regret for the rest of your life. With the secret letter in his hand, the golden-masked man sat on the back of this black flying demonic beast and rapidly flew towards the Great Yen Mountain. This huge demonic beast quickly disappeared into the night. On the first day of April, the sun had already risen. In that mysterious mountain villa, the old man Fan Wudong carried a tray with a lot of food on it. He carried it to the front of the iron cage and placed it on the ground. "Hey, wake up. Don't sleep." Clang, clang, clang. Fan Wudong kicked the iron cage twice. The ear-piercing sound instantly woke Honglin up. "Eh." Honglin opened her eyes drowsily and blankly asked, Where am I?" Yesterday, she only fell asleep when it was almost dawn. Now that she was suddenly woken up, Honglin couldn't react for a moment. When she saw the gloomy and cold mountain villa and the many guards staring at her, she immediately sobered up. So, all of this isn't a dream. Honglin's heart was filled with bitterness and bitterness. Why did it become like this? Fan Anren. Honglin stared at Fan Anren, who was far away. However, Fan Anren was chatting with the people beside him and didn't even look at her. Father. Honglin's eyes were filled with tears. "I was wrong. I blamed you wrongly. However, I don't know if I will be able to see you again in this lifetime." At this moment, Honglin suddenly woke up from her beautiful dream and saw everything clearly. She knew that her father, Tung Qingshan, did it for her own good. Tung Qingshan didn't know about his daughter's current predicament. However, on the morning of the second day of April, he received an important letter. Teacher. Yang Dong quickly ran in. "Teacher, something bad has happened." Something bad has happened. Yang Dong seemed very panicked. At this moment, Tung Qingshan was practicing his fist art. Li Jun was sitting beside him. "What's wrong?" Tung Qingshan seemed very calm. However, Li Jun hastily asked, "What's wrong?" "Junior's sister Linlin. Junior's sister Linlin has been captured," Yang Dong said anxiously. Tung Qingshan and Li Jun's expressions became solemn as they looked at each other. Actually, when their daughter Honglin left Yong and county with Fan Anren, Tung Qingshan and Li Jun had already guessed that something like this would happen. Therefore, they were a little anxious and a little angry, but they weren't surprised. "Give it to me." Tung Qingshan took the secret letter. "Teacher, this secret letter was sent by the Qingshan Guild in Jiangning County. They said that it was left by a powerful expert. After knowing the contents, they sent it here overnight," Yang Dong said. Tung Qingshan nodded his head slightly. The letter was opened. There were only a few words on it. "Tung Qingshan, your daughter is in my hands. If you want to save your daughter, there's only one way. Take the 5-element boxing of a Xingyi sect and arrive at the top of Tianlan Mountain in Yinzhou at noon on the second day of April. If you don't arrive on time, then wait to collect your daughter's corpse." Tung Qingshan wasn't surprised by the contents of the letter. However, his heart was burning with anger. Second day of April? Isn't it today? Li Jun couldn't help but say, "Qingshan, Linlin has indeed gone out with Fan Anren. Could she really be in his hands? If he dares to say so, it must be true." Tung Qingshan appeared very calm. Teacher, Junior's sister Honglin's life is more important." Yang Dong was extremely anxious. He didn't know that Tung Qingshan had arranged for the undying phoenix, Little Blue, to follow Linlin in secret. "Don't worry." Tung Qingshan revealed a cold smile. "Today, I want to see who is playing tricks behind the scenes." Tung Qingshan felt that the truth would soon be revealed. Here comes the second chapter. There will be 4 chapters today as well. The last 2.5 hours. March the last moment. If you have monthly votes, please support Tomatoes. Thank you. Chapter 574. Dong, remember, when I leave the Xingyi sect in 2 hours, ask all the elite disciples and innate experts in the sect to disperse. Don't gather, Tung Qingshan instructed. "Yes, teacher," Yang Dong replied respectfully. "Little June, ask the blade-like Qi to come over later. Ask it to guard the Xingyi sect. Ask it to attack the Xingyi sect if an emptiness realm expert attacks it." Tung Qingshan said calmly, "If I'm not mistaken, there's a 50% chance that the enemy will attack the Xingyi sect when I'm not around." "Attack the Xingyi sect? Attack the Xingyi sect?" Yang Dong was shocked. "Teacher, didn't the letter say that you were to go to Yinzhou's Tianlan Mountain?" Tung Qingshan shook his head and smiled. "Dong, If your junior martial sister Lin Lin falls into his hands, I will definitely go to Tianlan Mountain. No matter how unwilling I am, I will still rush to Tianlan Mountain. However, I have already asked the undying phoenix, Little Blue, to help protect Lin Lin in secret. To prevent any accidents, Little Blue even brought a grass of immortality with her. She will definitely be fine. The grass of immortality could even revive a person who had just died as long as his spirit had not dissipated. Tung Qingshan couldn't afford to lose his daughter. Therefore, he asked the undying phoenix, Little Blue, to bring a grass of immortality with her. Oh, Yang Dong heaved a sigh of relief. Then he smiled and said, since the enemy doesn't have anything on you, you don't have to go to Tianlan Mountain. Moreover, Qingshan and I suspect that they're trying to lure us away. After all, Lin Lin and Fan Anren have been together for a long time. If Fan Anren wanted to kill Lin Lin, he could have killed her in a short time. However, he didn't kill her. Instead, he lured Lin Lin out of the city. What is he doing? Yang Dong smiled and said, yes, as a hostage. Junior martial sister Lin Lin is in their hands. They can use her to threaten you. Yang Dong was a smart man. They can hide spies in the Gui Yuan sect for more than 10 years. Furthermore, they even managed to woo my daughter. This force must be plotting something big. Tung Qingshan said calmly, there are two possibilities. First, this is a great hidden force, just like the heavenly god palace that hid in the past. They want to obtain the secret manual of the five-element fist of Xing, Yi, so that their forces can become even stronger. The second possibility is to take revenge on the surviving members of Qinghu Island, Tung Qingshan said. The land of the 9 prefectures was too vast. Tung Qingshan did not dare to say that there were no other hidden troops. For example, the Wanxiang sect that had never contended for hegemony. For example, the god of wealth, Zhu Tong, whose wealth was comparable to that of a country. That god of wealth, Zhu Tong, had business connections all over the world. Among his subordinates who opened restaurants and cloth stores, there might be hidden experts. After all, a truly powerful force did not necessarily need to hide in the form of a sect. If it's the first possibility, they don't have anything on me, so I don't have to be threatened by them. If it's the second possibility, I will take this opportunity to wipe out the remaining elites of Qinghu Island. Tung Qingshan said with a smile. Later, I will leave the Xing Yi sect. Then, I will return from the underground and go 40 li under the Great Yin Mountain. Teacher, Yang Dong was shocked. Go out and come back. In an instant, Yang Dong understood what Tung Qingshan meant. Little June, tell the blade-like Qi later. If an emptiness realm expert attacks the Xing Yi sect, tell the blade-like Qi to immediately roar and inform me. Tung Qingshan said, when the time comes, I will immediately break out of the ground and join hands with the blade-like Qi. If the enemy is too strong, we can ask our neighbor, the demonic dragon Violet Rain, for help. Since Tung Qingshan wanted to establish his roots in the Great Yin Mountain, he naturally went to visit the demonic dragon Violet Rain and the golden dragon turtle. The golden dragon turtle knew Tung Qingshan, so it was easy to befriend them. At first, Tung Qingshan thought that it would be difficult to befriend the demonic dragon Violet Rain. However, he didn't expect that the demonic dragon Violet Rain would treat Tung Qingshan very well. The demonic dragon Violet Rain liked to sleep, and it was normal for it to sleep for a few years. In the past 19 years, it had only met Tung Qingshan 3 times. However, during these 3 times, Tung Qingshan and the demonic dragon Violet Rain had a great conversation, with Li Jun as the interpreter. If they really encountered any danger, Tung Qingshan believed that there wouldn't be any problems if he asked the demonic dragon Violet Rain for help. However, if it wasn't necessary, Tung Qingshan didn't want to disturb the demonic dragon Violet Rain. He knew very well that the demonic dragon Violet Rain hated people who disturbed its sleep. Okay, I will tell the blade-like Qi immediately. Li Jun nodded. After about 2 hours, Tung Qingshan saw that the sun had risen high in the sky. Little June, I will leave the Xing Yi sect to you and the blade-like Qi Tung Qingshan instructed. Under the gaze of his wife, Li Jun, Tung Qingshan transformed into a beam of light and flew towards the southwest. Soon, Tung Qingshan had flown 1,000 li. Then he dived into the ground and dived deep into the ground. Deep underground, Tung Qingshan hurried back. Traveling underground was much slower than flying. This round trip took about 1 hour. Tung Qingshan had already returned to the depths of the Great Yin Mountain, approximately 40 li deep into the Great Yin Mountain. This place is so hot. Tung Qingshan sat cross-legged in the rock stratum. The power of the heavens and earth had pushed the surrounding rocks away. About 10 zhang above Tung Qingshan was the scorching hot lava. I wonder if it's the remnants of Qinghu Island, or if it's a hidden force that really wants the 5-element fist of the Xingyi sect. Tung Qingshan thought to himself. Then he closed his eyes and sat quietly waiting. In the mysterious mountain villa built in the forest in Yenzhou. As time passed, Hong Lin, who was in the iron cage, felt her strength gradually recover. The bone-softening powder couldn't make a person powerless forever. There was a time limit. Now, I have recovered about 20% of my strength. The more I practice, the faster I will recover. I should be able to recover completely by nightfall. Hong Lin sat quietly in the iron cage. Her lips were dry, and she seemed weak. Damn it, the shackles are made of dark steel. Hong Lin's hands were tied behind her. Under the special dark steel shackles, she couldn't exert enough strength. Even if I was at my peak, I wouldn't be able to break these dark steel shackles. Unless I master the half-step collapsing fist and reach the Grandmaster realm. Maybe I can succeed. Hong Lin was anxious. Suddenly, Lord, the guards, including the leader with the prominent ears, all bowed respectfully to a black-robed man who was walking over from afar. Even Fan Anren and his adoptive father, Fan Wudong, bowed. Who is that? He seems to have a high status. Hong Lin lifted her head and glanced. This man was dressed in a black cloak. His face was sallow, and his eyes were like those of dead fish. He emitted a cold and gloomy aura. Lady Hong Lin, a cold voice came from the black-cloaked man. Humph. Tung Hong Lin stared at him coldly. TSK, you still have the temper of a young lady? Lady Hong Lin, this is not the Xingyi sect. The black-cloaked man sneered. However, Tung Hong Lin turned her head and didn't even look at him. Guards! The black-cloaked man pointed at the iron cage and said, Open the iron door. Hong Lin was shocked. Yes, Lord. The leader with the prominent ears personally ran over and used the key to unlock the lock. Then, with a clang, he opened the iron door. Hong Lin stared at the black-cloaked man and asked, What do you want? The black-cloaked man looked up and said, There are still 2 hours until noon. Yes, I can do it. Fan Anren, come here. Lord. Fan Anren was very respectful in front of the black-cloaked man. Now, use this saber. The black-cloaked man took out a short saber and pointed it at Hong Lin. He said sternly, Cut her face with your own hands. Cut her face 19 times. Not one less, not one more. Fan Anren was shocked. Disfigure her face? You. Hong Lin stared at the black-cloaked person in shock. For a young girl, one could imagine how much importance she placed on her appearance. Although Hong Lin wasn't extremely beautiful, she had inherited Tung Qingshan's and Li Jun's beauty. Her appearance was considered top-notch. In addition, she had cultivated the internal martial art, which made her skin appear even more delicate. She was at the age where she loved to be beautiful the most. The black-cloaked man's face darkened. Yes, Lord. Fan Anren took a deep breath and took the short saber. Then, he looked at Hong Lin, who was in the iron cage. Anren, you really want it? Hong Lin felt like she was about to go crazy when she thought about how her lover cut her face with his own hands. Don't blame me. If you want to blame someone, blame your father, Fan Anren said in a deep voice. Then, he took a step into the iron cage with the short saber in his hand. His eyes were filled with a cold light. Hong Lin wanted to break free from the shackles, but she couldn't do it since she had only recovered 20% of her strength. Fan Anren. Hong Lin clenched her teeth. Oomph. Fan Anren walked directly towards Hong Lin. The surrounding people, including the black-cloaked man, sneered. But suddenly, swoosh, a white light instantly pierced through Fan Anren's heart. Fan Anren widened his eyes and looked down at his chest. A bloody hole had already appeared. This. Fan Anren's mouth continuously foamed with blood. Then, he fell into the iron cage with a loud bang. He was dead. Hong Lin was also shocked when she saw this scene. Ah! A series of screams rang out. In the front yard, everyone, including Fan Wudong, was pierced by a white light and fell to the ground with a loud bang. None of them could block it. Clang! The black-cloaked man retreated with a white light. His face was filled with shock and anger. The white light floated in the air. It was the little white bird that had been following Hong Lin. At this moment, the little white bird was staring fiercely at the black-cloaked man. Demonic beast? An innate realm demonic beast? The black-cloaked man couldn't believe that the ordinary-looking sparrow-like little bird was actually a powerful, flying, demonic beast. He was a true Dan innate realm expert, but he couldn't even injure this demonic beast with a single slash. Little White, Hong Lin was also stunned. A scene from when she was a child immediately appeared in her mind. Lin, Hongwu. These two birds are very pitiful. Father and mother just picked them up in the mountains. You two must take good care of them. Since they were young, Hong Lin and Hongwu had been taking care of their own birds. Because they had been together for many years, they had developed feelings for the birds. However, they never knew that these birds, which seemed to be raised by an ordinary rich young master in a birdcage, were actually an innate realm flying demonic beast that had never been recorded in the books. Little thing, watch how I kill you. The black-cloaked man's eyes were cold. Suddenly, boom! Suddenly, a scorching aura instantly covered the entire front yard. The black-cloaked man raised his head and saw a huge divine bird bathed in flames floating above. Undying phoenix. The black-cloaked man's face instantly turned pale, and his heart fell to the bottom. This is the 3rd chapter. Continue writing the 4th chapter. It's the last hour. Monthly votes. Chapter 575. Fire Phoenix? Hong Lin, who was in the iron cage, was startled. The undying phoenix is here. Is father here as well? Hong Lin couldn't help but look around the sky carefully. However, she couldn't find her father. No, the black-cloaked man roared unwillingly. Under the pressure of the undying phoenix, the powerful fire elemental power in the surroundings made the black-cloaked man unable to move. Bang! A fiery red energy heavily attacked the black-cloaked man's abdomen. The black-cloaked man's face suddenly turned pale. He knew he was finished. His dantian had already been destroyed. Screech! The undying phoenix gently grabbed the crippled black-cloaked man with its sharp claws. Then it looked at Hong Lin. The undying phoenix opened its sharp beak. Swish! A sharp purple radiance easily broke the shackles on Hong Lin's hands and feet. Hong Lin regained her freedom and immediately stood up. At this moment, the small white bird flew to her shoulder. Little White, thank you. Hong Lin gently stroked the small white bird. She also understood her father, Tung Qingshan's painstaking efforts. He didn't tell the siblings about the special abilities of these two birds, because he didn't want them to be too bold with the protection of an innate realm demonic beast. In this way, when there was real danger, these birds could be used as a surprise attack. Actually, the small bird had wanted to save Hong Lin from the beginning. However, under the undying phoenix's order, it didn't dare to do so. The undying phoenix originally wanted to catch a big fish. However, the black-cloaked man wanted to destroy Hong Lin's appearance. This made the undying phoenix unable to tolerate it anymore. Thus, it immediately ordered the small white bird to take action. Fan Anren. Hong Lin lowered her head and looked at the already dead Fan Anren in the iron cage. At this moment, she didn't know whether she should hate or grieve. No matter what, Fan Anren was already dead. Even if she hated him, who could she hate? Everything is fake. Everything is fake. Vows of undying love, everything is fake. For a moment, Thousands of thoughts rushed into Honglin's mind. Screech, the undying phoenix, urged her. Honglin woke up with a start and immediately leaped onto the undying phoenix's back. Phew! With a flap of its wings, the undying phoenix carried Honglin on its back and grabbed the crippled innate realm black-cloaked man with its sharp claws. It rushed toward Yangzhou. At this time, Tung Qingshan must have set off. High up in the sky, the mysterious golden-masked man was sitting cross-legged on a black bird-type demonic beast. This bird-type demonic beast was completely black and looked a bit like a crow. However, its body was huge and its eyes were blood-red. Tung Qingshan, when you go to Yinzhou, it will be a wasted trip. After this, when you return to the Great Yin Mountain, you will find that your Xing-Yi sect is finished. Countless experts of the Xing-Yi sect have died. Even the secret manuals of the Xing-Yi sect have been spread around the world. The Golden Masked Man knew very well that as long as the important secret manuals of the Xing-Yi sect were distributed, there would no longer be only one internal martial arts sect in the world. At that time, it would be impossible for the Xing-Yi sect to attract so many internal martial arts cultivators. 19 years of hard work, gone in an instant. Just when you were about to go crazy, your daughter was sent back. You'll find that your daughter has already been disfigured. Her mind has collapsed, and she's become an idiot. The golden-masked man sneered. The sect is finished, and your daughter has become like this. Let's see what happens to Tung Qingshan. Are you suspecting that I am luring the tiger away from the mountain? Even if you suspect me, you still have to save your daughter. The golden-masked man knew this very well. Immediately, the golden-masked man let out a screech. Whoosh! The flying demonic beast carried the golden-masked man on its back and flew rapidly towards the Great Yin Mountain. In just a short while, it flew over 1,000 li and flew above the Great Yin Mountain. The emptiness realm flying demonic beast didn't slow down. It flew over the Great Yin Mountain at an altitude of 20 to 30 li and flew northwest for 500 to 600 li before stopping. Haha, as expected, there are only 3 emptiness realm auras in the Great Yin Mountain. If my guess is correct, it should be the golden dragon turtle and the demonic dragon violet rain. As for the one in the Xing-Yi sect, it should be the 6-legged blade-like Qi. The golden-masked man smiled and said, as expected, Tung Qingshan and the undying phoenix are not here. Ha! With the strength of the emptiness realm culmination, the Black Crow is not afraid of the 6-legged blade-like Qi. Perhaps the Black Crow is not as fast as the 6-legged blade-like Qi in a small area. However, the Black Crow can move in a straight line. The Black Crow is second only to the wind-splitting dragon falcon. Tung Qingshan and the undying phoenix are not here. We are already halfway to success. Tung Qingshan, it has been 19 years. 19 years. I'll let you live happily for 19 years. It's time for revenge. I will make you feel pain and regret for the rest of your life. The golden-masked man's voice was filled with coldness. In the Xing-Yi sect in the Great Yin Mountain, Martial Madam, did you just say that 2 emptiness realm auras flew by? Yang Dong was slightly surprised. Yes, the blade-like Qi sensed it. Li Jun looked worried as she said, if it was an ordinary emptiness realm expert passing by, it wouldn't be strange. However, today is different. At this moment, 2 emptiness realm experts flew by. I'm a little worried. If 2 emptiness realm experts attacked, it would be troublesome. Maybe they were emptiness realm experts passing by. Yang Dong comforted. Martial Madam, teacher, and the blade-like Qi will be fine. Li Jun nodded slightly. She was actually very confident in Tung Qingshan. However, she was worried that the aftermath of the battle would severely damage the Xing-Yi sect. As she waited anxiously, Li Jun felt that every day felt like a year. At the side, the 6-legged blade-like Qi lay quietly with its eyes closed, resting. Meanwhile, underground, Tung Qingshan also closed his eyes and waited quietly. Not long after, a powerful aura rushed over at an astonishing speed from afar. When this aura entered the area of the 6-legged blade-like Qi's domain, especially when it sensed the hostility of the other party. The six-legged blade-like chi, which had been lying on the ground with its eyes closed, instantly disappeared from its original position and rushed high into the sky. At the same time, an angry roar resounded throughout the entire Great Yin Mountain. Roar! The roar shook the heavens and the earth. Under the control of the six-legged blade-like chi, the roar traveled underground. Deep underground, Tung Shan, whose eyes were closed, felt the vibration caused by the roar and instantly opened his eyes. Boom! Tung Shan immediately rushed upward. He broke through the layer of rock and rushed through the underground magma. With the fastest speed possible, Tung Shan rushed to the surface. The moment Tung Shan leaped out of the surface, he saw a shocking scene. He saw a pitch-black bird-type demonic beast fighting with a six-legged blade-like chi in midair. Occasionally, the bird-type demonic beast would purposely release gusts of violent wind that blew towards the palaces of the Xing Yi sect below. Rumble, many mansions and palaces collapsed, and many disciples fled frantically. Fortunately, the six-legged blade-like chi moved rapidly within a small area and entangled the black bird-type demonic beast, preventing the bird-type demonic beast from destroying madly. However, the six-legged blade-like chi's body was already damaged. The green blood on its body was very conspicuous. Oh no, the blade-like chi is at a disadvantage. Evil creature! Tung Shan roared and dashed over rapidly. When the black crow saw Tung Shan dashing over and sensed Tung Shan's powerful aura of soul, it didn't dare to be negligent and hastily retreated. Roar! The six-legged blade-like chi let out an excited roar. Tung Shan leaped onto the back of the six-legged blade-like chi. The two pairs of wings of the six-legged blade-like chi shook violently, and instantly several phantoms appeared, preventing the black crow from dodging. The six-legged blade-like chi didn't chase after the black crow at all. Instead, it used the simplest and most effective method. First, once the black crow got close, it would entangle with the six-legged blade-like chi. At close range, the black crow was definitely not as agile as the six-legged blade-like chi second. Once the distance between them increased, the six-legged blade-like chi would definitely be below the demonic beast. If the demonic beast wanted to attack the Xing Yi sect, it would have to dive down. The six-legged blade-like chi could definitely stop it. After all, the six-legged blade-like chi was the strongest in terms of explosive power. Screech, the bird-type demonic beast, emitted a roar. Evil creature, die! Tung Shan roared and stepped on the six-legged blade-like chi. The reincarnation spear in his hand instantly danced. Pursuing shadow. Immediately, the ferocious shadows of the spear instantly covered the bird-type, emptiness realm demonic beast. Clang! The sharp claws of the bird-type demonic beast, Black Crow, clashed with Tung Shan's reincarnation spear. As soon as the Black Crow clashed, it knew that the situation was not good and hastily tried to soar into the sky. However, the six-legged blade-like chi and Tung Shan's terrifying reincarnation spear came at the same time. 5 elemental toxic dragon drill. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in Tung Shan's eyes. The red tassel on the reincarnation spear danced. For a moment, the black crow couldn't dodge in time and could only use its sharp claws to block. Clang! The power of this spear was far beyond the bird-type demonic beast's estimation. Poochie! Tung Shan's spear brushed past the sharp claws and pierced one of the wings of the black crow. Screech! With a shrill cry, the black crow didn't care about anything else. The wound on its right wing instantly closed, and at the same time, it frantically tried to escape. We can't escape. Tung Shan stepped on the six-legged blade-like chi, and his eyes flashed with a cold light. The six-legged blade-like chi chased after the black crow crazily. If the black crow had tried to escape at the beginning, it would have been able to escape due to its superior speed. However, now that its wing was injured, its speed was also affected. The Xing Yi sect, which had been attacked by the Black Crow's Emptiness Realm demonic beast, was in a state of chaos. However, Li Jun, Yang Dong, Teng Shou, and the others all looked up at the sky. The fight between Emptiness Realm experts was as fast as lightning and extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, Teng Qingshan and the six-legged blade-like Qi had already chased after the pitch-black bird-type demonic beast. We won. Yang Dong revealed a smile. Yes. Li Jun heaved a sigh of relief. Look, Teng Shou cried out in surprise. A huge shadow suddenly flew out from the forest of the Great Yin Mountain and intercepted Teng Qingshan and the six-legged blade-like Qi from the side. Teng Qingshan stared at the demonic dragon Violet Rain, which was spiraling in the sky. He was slightly shocked, angry, and confused. Because of the demonic dragon Violet Rain's obstruction, the demonic beast was delayed. The injured Emptiness Realm demonic beast had already run out of the domain. There was no way to chase after it. Roar! The six-legged blade-like Qi emitted a deep roar in dissatisfaction. Brother Violet Rain, what are you doing? Teng Qingshan stared at the demonic dragon Violet Rain. For a moment, he didn't know what to ask. The demonic dragon Violet Rain had a good relationship with him. Why did it stop him? Roar, roar. The spiraling demonic dragon emitted a deep roar. The six-legged blade-like Qi understood the roar and turned to look at Teng Qingshan with a confused expression. What is going on? Teng Qingshan was even more confused. Teng Qingshan, who was confused, suddenly felt a familiar aura. He turned to look. A fiery red light flew over rapidly. It was the Undying Phoenix. On the back of the Undying Phoenix was Hong Lin, who seemed to be in dire straits. At this moment, Hong Lin's eyes were filled with tears. Father! Hong Lin's voice sounded from afar. The 4th chapter is over. Brothers, it's a new month. Those who have a guaranteed monthly ticket, please vote for me. Chapter 576. Lin Lin. Teng Qingshan looked at the familiar figure on the back of the Undying Phoenix and couldn't help but feel happy. Hong Lin, who was on the back of the Undying Phoenix, looked at her father, who was floating in the air with the demonic dragon and the six-legged blade-like Qi. She couldn't hold back her tears. She felt guilty towards her father and had been suppressing her feelings ever since she was heard outside. Only when he saw his loved ones would he be able to fully express the grievances in his heart. Phew! Teng Qingshan flew towards the Undying Phoenix. He glanced at the man in black that was grabbed by Little Blue's sharp claws and thought to himself, this man in black should be one of the people who took Lin Lin away. Teng Qingshan couldn't be bothered with this kind of person and flew onto the back of the Undying Phoenix. Father! Hong Lin threw herself into Teng Qingshan's arms and hugged Teng Qingshan. She couldn't help but cry. Teng Qingshan hugged his daughter and revealed a gratified smile. He couldn't help but think of the time when his daughter was young and played with the disciples of the sect on the Great Yin Mountain. When she was stung by a wasp, she immediately ran back to hug him and wailed. Although his daughter was old now, this feeling was still the same as before. When she was wronged outside, she would come back to look for her father. After all, parents were always the strongest support for their children. Don't cry. Don't cry, Teng Qingshan said as he patted his daughter's back. Yes. In her father's arms, Hong Lin felt comforted. She let go of her father and looked at him. She said softly, Father, I'm sorry. Haha, it's okay. The dissatisfaction in Teng Qingshan's heart had disappeared. Let's go. Holding his daughter's hand, Teng Qingshan flew towards the demonic dragon Violet Rain and the six-legged blade-like Qi roar. The demonic dragon nodded slightly at Teng Qingshan and let out a deep roar. Roar. Teng Qingshan also let out a deep roar. He only knew a few simple words in the language of beasts. Now, he was inviting the demonic dragon Violet Rain. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 3 demonic beasts, the Undying Phoenix, the demonic dragon Violet Rain, and the six-legged blade-like Qi, along with Teng Qingshan, who was holding his daughter's hand, flew into the East Flower Garden of the Xingyi sect. The Xingyi sect was affected by the terrifying gale created by the bird-type demonic beast, the Black Crow. Many palaces and mansions collapsed, and many disciples of the Xing sect were injured. Look, what a long divine dragon. The undying phoenix is over there. The sect master is right next to him. Many disciples of the Xing sect looked up, and their eyes lit up. The legendary demonic dragon, the undying phoenix, and even the sovereign of the Xing sect, Tung Shan, were legendary existences in the hearts of the disciples of the Xing sect. Now that they were able to witness such a sight, they were so excited that they found it hard to control their emotions. No more. It seems to have flown into the East Flower Garden. Many disciples felt empty in their hearts. They glanced at the East Flower Garden in the distance. That was the residence of their sovereign, the founder of the internal martial art, Tung Shan. Only a few people of the Xing sect were qualified to enter the East Flower Garden. Why are all of you standing there? Quick, help move the rocks, a disciple immediately shouted. Over here, over here. Two people come quickly. Junior Marshal Brother Wong is trapped underneath. Quick, move the rocks over here. The road is blocked. The disciples of the Xing sect shouted, trying their best to save the unlucky disciples who were trapped by the collapse of their mansions. In the East Flower Garden of the Xing sect, in the martial courtyard where the training field was located, there was a large training field here. Therefore, this courtyard was the largest courtyard in the entire East Flower Garden. At this moment, a huge demonic dragon was sitting on the training field. The demonic dragon's two huge golden eyes were like wheels, and its breath froze the surrounding air. Little June, let Lin Lin rest at the side, Tung Shan said. Help me ask Brother Zishi. Previously, when I was chasing after the bird-type demonic beast with the blade-like chi, why did Brother Zishi stop us? Hanwu, come and accompany your sister. Yes. Hanwu, come and accompany your sister. Okay. Hanwu nodded. Li Jun saw the scene in the sky when she was in the Xing sect. She was also confused as to why the demonic dragon stopped Tung Shan and the others. She turned to look at the demonic dragon and let out a deep roar. The demonic dragon, Violet Rain, looked at Tung Shan. There was a hint of kindness in its huge golden eyes. It let out a few roars, and the roars echoed in the courtyard. However, the disciples of the Xing sect couldn't hear any sound. The entire space of the martial courtyard had been frozen. The sound waves couldn't be transmitted. Li Jun was surprised. What did he say? Tung Shan couldn't help but ask. Shan, Brother Violet Rain said that he is helping you. Li Jun had a strange expression on her face. Helping me? Tung Shan widened his eyes. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He is more of a hindrance than a help. And he is helping me, really? Brother Violet Rain? Why don't you ask him if he's helping me by stopping us? Li Jun was also puzzled. She immediately asked the demonic dragon, Violet Rain. The huge head of the demonic dragon nodded slightly and let out a roar. Oh, Li Jun had a look of realization. Tung Shan was even more confused. He then looked at Tung Shan and explained, Shan, the demonic dragon Violet Rain said that the emptiness realm flying demonic beast was called Black Crow. Although his talent wasn't that great. However, it was still a bird-type emptiness realm demonic beast that had lived for thousands of years. Among the emptiness realm demonic beasts, its strength could only be considered average. However, if you kill this emptiness realm demonic beast, you will provoke a great enemy. That emptiness realm demonic beast must not be killed. Great enemy. Tung Shan instantly understood what the demonic dragon Violet Rain meant. Obviously, this Black Crow demonic beast's origin was not ordinary. Killing it would cause a huge disaster. What kind of enemy did you provoke? Little June asked the emptiness realm demonic beast Black Crow. What is its origin? Tung Shan frowned and said, I suspect that the force behind it is conspiring against the Xing sect. Yes. Li Jun's expression was solemn as she went to ask the demonic dragon Violet Rain again. This time, the demonic dragon Violet Rain told Li Jun for a long time and told her a lot of information. Tung Shan saw that Li Jun was sometimes surprised, sometimes nodding, and sometimes showing an expression of disbelief. After a long time, she finally understood. For a moment, Tung Shan's mind was filled with doubts. Finally, the demonic dragon Violet Rain stopped talking. "Little June, tell me, what's going on?" Tung Shan hastily said. Yang Dong, Hongwu, and Hong Lin, who were at the side, also stared at Li Jun. Li Jun couldn't help but sigh and said, "Qing Shan, I finally understand." "What do you understand?" "The bird-type emptiness realm demonic beast, Black Crow. What force is behind it?" Qing Shan. "The bird-type demonic beast, Black Crow, is actually the godly beast of the barbarian tribe temple or the giant tribe temple," Li Jun answered. Tung Shan blinked. Hong Lin, Hongwu, and Yang Dong, who were standing at the side, were all dumbfounded. "Temple? The barbarian tribe temple or the giant tribe temple? What temple? How come I have never heard of it?" Tung Shan frowned. Li Jun smiled and said, "It's normal that you don't know. The desolate land to the south of Yangzhou is very vast. However, the depth of the desolate land is about 10,000 li. There's a group of humans living there. These people, as long as they are ordinary people, are at least 10 zhang too, 5 meters tall. The taller ones are even taller. Therefore, they are called the giant tribe. In other words, the barbarian tribe." "What?" Tung Shan couldn't believe it. "Barbarian tribe? Giant tribe?" Hong Lin, Hongwu, and Yang Dong were completely stunned. Everyone knew that the desolate land was extremely dangerous. The deeper one went, the more dangerous it would be. Even first-rated warriors couldn't survive for long in the depths of the desolate land. Poisonous insects and beasts could be seen everywhere. The deeper one went into the desolate land, the more dangerous it would be. There was actually a group of humans living in the depths of 10,000 li, according to what the demonic dragon Violet Rain said. Li Jun sighed and said, "During the tribal era, Emperor Yu hadn't unified the world and divided the 9 prefectures. At that time, Emperor Yu hadn't even been born yet. The entire land was plagued by endless floods and torrents wreaked havoc. Many tribes were forced to migrate. Many of them had hundreds of thousands of people, or even more. They all entered the desolate land together. The forest in the desolate land is dense, so there was no flood." Tung Shan was shocked when he heard this. He had heard that the flood in the tribal era was a great disaster. After that, Yu the Great, who unified the world and controlled the flood, was worshipped by countless people in the land of the 9 prefectures. For generations, when they offered sacrifices to Yu the Great, they would first say Emperor Yu is above. Then they would say many things that they hoped for. From this, one could imagine how grateful the people were to Emperor Yu. From this, one could see how terrifying the flood was. It even forced some tribes to move into the desolate land. Back then, there were many tribes that entered the wildlands one after another. Although the desolate land was dangerous, there were many powerful warriors in the tribal era. In addition, there were many people who entered the desolate land. Relying on their numbers, they went deeper and deeper. They fought with poisonous insects and fierce beasts. Along the way, many tribe members died. However, these tribes continued to move forward. They wanted to find a suitable place to live. After all, there were too many poisonous insects and fierce beasts in the desolate land. Death, struggle, and move forward. The entire tribe had women and children. Therefore, they moved forward very slowly. Many people died on the way. Finally, in the depths of the desolate land, they found a place with fewer poisonous insects and fierce beasts. In that place, the people of the tribes who had experienced many disasters were the last elites and the last survivors. These elites had fought with many wild beasts and even demonic beasts. They had been bitten by poisonous insects, but they survived. From then on, these people lived in the depths of the desolate land. They kept the habits of the tribal era. Because they lived in the desolate land for a long time, and because of some special reasons. These barbarian tribe, or giant tribe, lived in the fertile land of the 9 prefectures like us. There was a huge difference, and the temple that I mentioned before ruled the entire barbarian tribe. Li Jun's voice echoed in the courtyard. Tung Shan and the others listened quietly. Chapter 1. Chapter 577. Book 11. Chapter 32. The Strongest Force. New month. Seeking monthly votes, so the berserkers are the same as the people in the land of 9 prefectures. Han Wu sighed with emotion. 6 or 7,000 years have passed, and they look different from us. How strange. Tung Shan did not find it strange. Natural selection. In fact, the process of many tribes advancing through the endless wilderness was a process of being chosen. Those who survived in the end were almost all the most outstanding. In addition, he had been living in the wildlands for a long time, drinking the water of the wildlands and living like the wild beasts and poisonous insects of the wildlands. It would be strange if there were no changes. Master's wife, is this temple very strong? Yang Dong couldn't help but ask, how many barbarians are there in the Boorish Desolate? How many experts do they have? The Xingyi sect is not afraid of anyone in the land of the 9 prefectures. Why can't we even kill the Black Crow? Very strong indeed. Li Jun said solemnly. Demonic Dragon Violet Rain said that the population of the barbarian tribe has been increasing since the tribal era. Elder Brother Violet Rain had been there a few hundred years ago. According to its estimation, there are probably more than 1 million barbarians. 1 million people? Tung Shan couldn't help but frown. East City alone has a population of more than 1 million. Furthermore, that wasn't right. During the tribal era, a large number of tribes had already entered the wilderness en masse. At that time, the population was estimated to be in the tens of thousands. After 6 or 7,000 years, how could there only be 1 million people? Li Jun shook her head. It's different. Brother Violet Rain said that the barbarians are different from the people of the land of the 9 prefectures. I was also puzzled and asked Elder Brother Zishi. Elder Brother Zishi said that the barbarians always send their babies to the temple when they are born, after the baptism of the divine cauldron. Only those who didn't die in the baptism are considered true barbarians, Li Jun explained. Baptism in the divine cauldron after birth? Tung Shan was shocked. Also, according to demonic Dragon Violet Rain, the godly cauldron used for the baptism should be one of the legendary 9 cauldrons. Li Jun said seriously. Tung Shan was shocked. 9 continent cauldrons? The Jojo cauldron possessed a mystical power. At the same time, it had its own spirituality. He did not expect that a 9th province cauldron would be enshrined in the barbarian tribe temple as a godly cauldron, and it had been there for a long time. Any member of the barbarian tribe, after going through the baptism, will possess great strength when they reach adulthood. Li Jun exclaimed, it's not difficult for them to tear tigers and leopards apart. Perhaps these barbarians were the most ordinary of the barbarians. His strength was already comparable to that of a first-rated warrior. And the most unique thing about them is that the maximum lifespan of these berserkers is 200 years. What? Tung Shan frowned in confusion. The maximum lifespan was 200 years? I don't know why either, but these ordinary barbarians can live up to 200 years old as long as they aren't killed. Li Jun nodded and said, among the millions of barbarians, almost 1 in 10,000 has reached the innate realm. And those who have reached the innate realm are respectfully called the brute warriors among the barbarians. Yang Dong, Han Gu, and Hong Lin were astonished. 1 innate out of 10,000 people? The probability was too high. It should be known that in the entire Yangzhou's population of 2 to 300 million, it would be considered pretty good if there were 30 innate masters. Almost 1 out of 10 million people. Ordinary barbarians already possess boundless strength. He was comparable to a first-rated warrior. The warriors of the barbarian tribe are even comparable to innate experts. Heaven is fair. This barbarian tribe lived a tough life in the wilderness. Although their population was small, they possessed an undeniably astonishing strength. Only those who have reached the emptiness realm are qualified to become elders of the barbarian tribe temple. Li Jun said, actually, the most special thing about the barbarian tribe is not this. It's the language of beasts. Beast language? Tung Ching Shan and the others frowned slightly. Yes, beast language. Li Jun hastily nodded. Because the barbarian tribe has lived in the desolate land for too long, they have been living with birds and beasts for a long time. The entire barbarian tribe is very familiar with the habits of birds and beasts. Among them, there were those who understood and could speak the language of beasts. There were quite a few of them. Almost every warrior of the barbarian tribe has someone who understands the language of beasts to support them and help them govern their tribe. According to the demonic dragon Violet Rain, Emperor, you learn the language of beasts in the barbarian tribe temple. The ancestor of the Snowhawk Hall also learned the language of beasts in the barbarian tribe temple, Li Jun replied. Tung Ching Shan could not help but exclaim. So, the origin of this beast language was actually the barbarian tribe temple. The barbarian tribe temple's strongest force is not the barbarian tribe elders. It's the divine beasts of the barbarian tribe. Li Jun replied. This is because there are many people in the barbarian tribe who understand the language of beasts. In addition, the barbarian tribe lives in the depths of the wildlands. So many demon beasts are friends with the barbarian tribe. Through the barbarian tribe, these demon beasts can obtain what they want. The barbarians and the demonic beasts help each other. In the barbarian tribe, demonic beasts are their friends. They are forbidden to kill demonic beasts. Some innate demonic beasts eventually transformed into emptiness realm demonic beasts. The emptiness realm demonic beast was willing to join the barbarian tribe temple. He became a divine beast of the barbarian clan. You will be worshipped by the barbarians. Most of the emptiness realm demonic beasts have a long lifespan. As time passed, the number of godly beasts of the barbarian tribe in the barbarian tribe temple increased. Tung Ching Shan sucked in a breath of cold air. It was a human race that befriended demons, a race that had lived in the wilderness for a long time and had lasted for 6,000 to 7,000 years. The barbarian tribe temple probably had the most emptiness realm demonic beasts in the entire land of the 9 prefectures. Little June, how many barbarian tribes' divine beasts are there in this barbarian tribe temple? 2, 3, 4? Tung Ching Shan asked. Yang Dong, Hongwu, and Honglin also looked at Li Jun a few hundred years ago. When the demonic dragon Violet Rain went to the barbarian tribe's temple, it stayed there for a long time. There were 5 barbarian divine beasts. Li Jun replied. 5? Tung Ching Shan's heart trembled. Currently, in the land of the 9 prefectures, there was no force that possessed 5 emptiness realm demonic beasts. This is only for living in the barbarian tribe for a long time. According to the demonic dragon Violet Rain, almost all the emptiness realm demonic beasts in the desolate land had a good relationship with the barbarian tribe. There were also a few emptiness realm demonic beasts scattered around the desolate land. If the barbarian tribe temple is really in danger, we can ask the other emptiness realm demonic beasts that are scattered everywhere to help, Li Jun said solemnly. Tung Ching Shan's expression turned solemn. In other words, the barbarian tribe temple was the most powerful emptiness realm demonic beast force. There were 5 emptiness realm demonic beasts that lived there for a long time. There were also a few scattered in the desolate land. According to Brother Demonic Dragon Violet Rain, more than half of the emptiness realm demonic beasts in the land of the 9 prefectures are emptiness realm demonic beasts. All of them had friendly relations with the wildlands. Because of Emperor Yu, the demonic dragon Violet Rain did not have a good relationship with the barbarian tribe temple. However, there was another demonic dragon divine beast in the barbarian tribe temple. He was a good friend of the demonic dragon Violet Rain, so it went there a few times. Tung Ching Shan nodded slightly. The wilderness was the place with the most demonic beasts in the 9 states. It was not strange that the emptiness realm demonic beasts were the most common. This emptiness realm demonic beast is called Black Crow. It is one of the 5 emptiness realm demonic beasts that live in the barbarian tribe temple for a long time. Li Jun answered. This Black Crow used to be an innate demonic beast, the Blood Crow. After it transformed, it became an emptiness realm demonic beast. However, his talent was average. Therefore, even if he reached Emptiness Realm culmination, he would not be able to reach the Emptiness Realm. They are only slightly stronger than ordinary Emptiness Realm culmination experts. Tung Qingshan nodded slightly. Not every Emptiness Realm demonic beast was as monstrous as the Undying Phoenix, the six-legged blade-like Qi, and the demonic dragon. There were also some demonic beasts, such as a shooting sun heavenly wolf, the six-eared earth-drilling mouse, and even the black crow. Even if he reached the Emptiness Realm culmination, he was only slightly stronger than an ordinary Emptiness Realm culmination expert. When it encountered Tung Qingshan, who could unleash 130% of the heaven and earth's power, even the black crow would be injured and flee far away. However, Big Brother Demonic Dragon Violet Rain said that it's impossible. This black crow Emptiness Realm demonic beast. However, it was one of the weaker ones among the 5 divine beasts of the barbarian tribe temple. The strongest of them all. He was Violet Rain's good friend. The other one is also a flood dragon. Li Jun said solemnly that demon dragon strength is very close to Brother Violet Rain's. Tung Qingshan's expression changed slightly. Among these 5 godly beasts, there is a purple-haired godly ape that is slightly slower but extremely powerful, Li Jun said. The purple-haired godly ape strength is close to that of the demonic dragon. These 2 are the strongest among the 5 divine beasts. In the barbarian tribe temple, only the temple elders can invite the divine beasts, Li Jun said solemnly. Moreover, the barbarian race attaches great importance to their divine beasts. Qingshan, if you really kill this black crow, that is, he has truly offended the barbarian tribe temple. Tung Qingshan finally understood why the demonic dragon Violet Rain wanted to stop him. Just a little bit more. If I really killed that black crow, I am not afraid of the barbarian tribe temple. I am not afraid of the barbarian tribe deity temple, but the Xing Yi sect. Tung Qingshan felt a lingering fear. If the barbarian tribe deity temple really mobilized other Emptiness Realm demonic beasts, they would definitely be the most powerful force in the land of the 9 prefectures. However, the demonic beasts were not fools. They probably would not risk their lives for the barbarian tribe temple and conquer the world. Brother Violet Rain, thank you. Tung Qingshan looked at the huge demonic dragon Violet Rain in front of him and let out a deep roar gratefully. Roar! The demonic dragon Violet Rain also let out a deep roar and nodded its huge head. Roar, roar. The demonic dragon Violet Rain let out a series of deep roars. Immediately, it rose into the sky and disappeared in front of Tung Qingshan and the others. Brother Violet Rain went back. He told Qingshan not to offend the barbarian tribe temple. Li Jun smiled and said, however, you don't have to be afraid. None of the demonic beasts in the barbarian tribe temple is faster than the Undying Phoenix. Moreover, the barbarian tribe temple is very hospitable. They treat outsiders very well. Qingshan, if you really want to go, don't be hostile. The barbarian tribe temple will not take the initiative to attack. When Tung Qingshan heard this, he nodded slightly. The long-lived demonic dragon Violet Rain indeed knew many secrets. In the land of the 9 prefectures, only a few people knew about the existence of the barbarian tribe temple. The entire training field was immersed in the shock brought by the formidable power of the barbarian tribe temple. Suddenly, roar! The 6-legged blade-like Qi suddenly let out a deep roar. Li Jun was shocked. What's wrong? Tung Qingshan asked. Li Jun hastily said solemnly. Qingshan, the blade-like Qi said. Before the black crow attacked, it carried a human Emptiness Realm expert on its back and flew over the Great Yin Mountain at high speed. When it attacked later on, it only saw the black crow Emptiness Realm expert. It didn't see another human Emptiness Realm expert. A human Emptiness Realm expert? Tung Qingshan frowned and said, he was with the godly beast of the barbarian tribe. Could it be the elder of the barbarian tribe temple? Why did they attack the Xing Yi sect? 2 chapters were completed. Today was April 1st, which was April Fool's Day. However, Tomato was not a fool. Actually, I really want the monthly votes and recommendation votes. Tomato was not a fool. Chapter 578. It doesn't make sense. Yang Dong frowned and said, the Xingyi sect has never had any dealings with the barbarian tribe temple. Why would they attack the Xingyi sect? What happened? The calm Hongwu's eyes flashed as he said, those who are unreasonably attentive must have evil intentions. It was the same logic. There was no hatred for no reason. The godly beast of the barbarian tribe temple attacked the Xingyi sect. There must be a reason. Plus, the emptiness realm expert who was with the demonic beast. He didn't show himself when he attacked the Xingyi sect. Father, if I'm not wrong, the reason lies with the human emptiness realm expert. The reason lies with him, Hongwu said calmly. Tung Qingshan looked at his son with admiration. It seemed that doing business could really train people. He looked at his son and then at his daughter. The mental age of this pair of brother and sister was completely opposite. Yes, if we can find the human emptiness realm expert, we might be able to figure it out. Tung Qingshan nodded. But Qingshan, our biggest problem now is that we can't find the human emptiness realm expert. Li Jun shook her head and said helplessly. Tung Qingshan's gaze suddenly fell on the black-clothed man, who was pressed to the ground by the powerful power of the heavens and earth beside the undying phoenix. This is... Tung Qingshan walked over. Father, this is the person behind the group that captured me. Hong Lin's eyes were red as she stared at the man in black. A fierce glint flashed in her eyes as she said, it's him. He even asked Fan Anren to cut my daughter's face 19 times. If little white and fire phoenix didn't appear, I would have. Tung Qingshan looked at the black-clothed man in the distance, and his eyes couldn't help but turn cold. Ha! Yes, I gave the order. What do you think? Ha! As if noticing that Tung Qingshan was staring at him, the black-clothed man who had his dantian broken suddenly roared crazily. You can only blame that Fan Anren for being too useless, a piece of trash. He brought a woman with him and attracted your attention. You even sent the undying phoenix to follow him. Tung Qingshan walked to the man in black and looked at him coldly. Tung Qingshan's expression changed slightly. Tung Qingshan, kill me if you can. I won't let you off even if I die and become a ghost. The man in black clenched his teeth and roared. Wei Han, Tung Qingshan suddenly said. The expression of the man in black changed. One of the innate experts of Qinghu Island, Wei Han. I'm not mistaken, am I? Tung Qingshan's smile sent chills down the man's spine. Ever since the battle in the Great Yin Mountain, the number of innate experts in the entire Qinghu Island have been very few. Tung Qingshan hated Qinghu Island to the core. He had read all the information about the innate experts of Qinghu Island several times. Wei Han's heart turned cold. Wei Han. Tung Qingshan looked down at Wei Han coldly and said, I didn't expect that Qinghu Island would dare to take revenge on the Xingyi sect. You are courting death. Tell me, who is the emptiness realm expert who controls the flying demonic beast? Kill me. If you can, just kill me. The man in black, Wei Han, clenched his teeth. Blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth as he roared. Don't even think that I will say a word. Kill you? Tung Qingshan smiled coldly and said, What's the point of killing you? Wei Han, I will give you a chance to tell me. As long as you tell me who the emptiness realm expert who controls the flying demonic beast is, I will not kill all of you. As for the remnants of Qinghu Island, I will not kill all of you. However, if you clench your teeth and refuse to tell me, I will hunt down the remnants of Qinghu Island in the entire land of the 9 prefectures. If there is one, I will kill one. If there is 10,000, I will kill 10,000. Leave no one alive. When Tung Qingshan thought of the destruction of his daughter and the destruction of the Xingyi sect, he could no longer suppress the killing intent in his heart. Tung Qingshan's words caused Wei Han's facial expression to change drastically. Are you going to tell me or not? Tung Qingshan sneered and said, Later, even if you want to tell me, I won't bother to listen. Wei Han's expression kept changing as he struggled. He was not afraid of death. However, When he thought of the tens of thousands of Qinghu Island's disciples hiding everywhere, he couldn't help but worry. The current Xingyi sect was no longer the Xingyi sect that had just been established. Now, the Xingyi sect had the power to hunt down Qinghu Island in the land of the 9 prefectures. Adong passed down my order. In the entire 9 states. Tung Qingshan said coldly. I'll talk, Wei Han shouted. Tung Qingshan stopped and looked at Wei Han coldly. He didn't say anything and just waited for Wei Han to speak. Wei Han took a deep breath and said, originally, the surviving disciples of Qinghu Island didn't want to take revenge. However, one day, a mysterious emptiness realm expert found us. He said that he was a good friend of the Heavenly Eye Sword Sage. He had just arrived in the 9 states. Knowing that Grandmaster was killed by Tung Qingshan, he decided to avenge Grandmaster. So let us help. Tung Qingshan frowned slightly. When our Qinghu Island had just been destroyed, the Qinghu Island had been destroyed. There were many people who wanted to take revenge. They even planted many spies in the Gui Yuan sect and the Xingyi sect. However, as time passed, the hatred in many people's hearts faded. The younger generation didn't want to take revenge. Moreover, the Xingyi sect was getting stronger and stronger. We couldn't defeat them. When the Heavenly Eye Sword Sage came, the surviving higher-ups of Qinghu Island were divided into 2 factions. One faction wanted to take revenge. The other faction didn't want to be enemies with the Xingyi sect. They thought that was like throwing an egg against a rock, Wei Han said slowly. Tung Qingshan suddenly said, back then, in Yinzhou, they intercepted and killed a young man of the branch of internal martial art. Moreover, the secret manuals were leaked. Qinghu Island is really stubborn. Tung Qingshan, you're a smart person. I don't need to say it, but you already know. Yes, we did it. Wei Han shook his head and said, however, the first time they intercepted and killed, someone obviously told us. Some of the surviving disciples of Qinghu Island wanted to fight. Some didn't want to fight. We already knew that it was the other faction that told us. Tung Qingshan didn't say anything. Tung Qingshan, if you want to kill me, just kill me. I just hope that you can leave Qinghu Island. 19 years have passed. Now, many of them are young. This has nothing to do with what happened in the past. I hope that you can spare them, Wei Han said hastily. Li Jun, who had been standing beside Tung Qingshan, suddenly asked, Wei Han, what does that human emptiness realm expert look like? He wore a golden mask. I don't know him either. Wei Han shook his head and said. After interrogating Wei Han, Tung Qingshan learned a lot of information. Tung Qingshan asked Hong Lin and Han Wu to go back to their rooms to rest. Yang Dong also left to deal with the aftermath of the Xingyi sect's attack. Only Tung Qingshan and Li Jun were left. Little Jun, can you guess who the human emptiness realm expert who wore a golden mask and claimed to be a friend of the blind sword master is? Tung Qingshan asked. An elder of the barbarian tribe temple? Li Jun said uncertainly. I don't know if he is an elder of the barbarian tribe temple. However, I'm 90% sure that this person is Guiyong. A fierce glint flashed in Tung Qingshan's eyes. Li Jun said in surprise, Guiyong. First, he intercepted the men of the Xingyi sect. Then, he leaked the secret technique and made the Xingyi sect and Emperor use hall enemies. Third, he wanted to destroy the Xingyi sect. Each move he made was more ruthless than the last. Why would he do this if he didn't have any real hatred? Coincidentally, Guiyong and I have an irreconcilable hatred. If the blind sword master really had a powerful emptiness realm expert friend, why didn't the blind sword master ask him for help when Qinghu Island was destroyed? Therefore, this is a lie. Plus, it's not easy for an outsider to find the hidden disciples of Qinghu Island. Plus, I searched the entire land of the 9 prefectures and couldn't find Guiyong. Where did he go for the past 19 years? He hid for 19 years. Once he showed himself, he would definitely take revenge. The most important thing is Guiyong's comprehension ability is similar to that of my teacher, Zhuge Yuanhong. If my teacher didn't insist on comprehending the Tao of life in one go, he would have reached the emptiness realm long ago. Guiyong is very similar to my teacher, and has experienced many hardships. Until now, it would be strange if Gu Yong didn't reach the emptiness realm. Tung Qingshan looked at Li Jun and said, "Little Jun, if this person isn't Gu Yong, who do you think he is?" Li Jun was completely convinced by Tung Qingshan's words. She couldn't help but nod slightly. However, the world is unpredictable. I can only say that I am 90% sure. Tung Qingshan shook his head and said, "I can't be completely sure that this mysterious person is Gu Yong before he unveils his golden mask." Little June previously, the blade-like chi sensed the aura of the Black Crow and the mysterious emptiness realm expert. I will search the surrounding area with the blade-like chi. If we are lucky, we might be able to find him. Tung Qingshan didn't dare to relax. Tung Qingshan wouldn't be at ease until the mysterious person was found. "Yes, be careful." Li Jun nodded. "Yes." Tung Qingshan turned his head and looked at the six-legged blade-like chi. Immediately, Tung Qingshan leaped onto the back of the six-legged blade-like chi with the reincarnation spear in his hand and disappeared before Li Jun's eyes at lightning speed. In the afternoon, the sky was cloudless. Tung Qingshan was flying high in the sky on the back of the six-legged blade-like chi. They are really cautious. The first time they intercepted the people of the internal martial art, they succeeded. Even if they failed, the two disciples of Emperor Yu's Hall were among them. They also misled me into thinking that it was Emperor Yu's Hall. They really prepared for two things. The second time, they leaked the secret technique to Emperor Yu's Hall. They wanted me to fight against Emperor Yu's Hall and wanted to use the blade of Emperor Yu's Hall to kill me. The third time, they only let the emptiness realm demonic beast destroy. Even if they failed, they still had a chance. Tung Qingshan's heart felt heavy. Every time this enemy took revenge, he wouldn't use all his trump cards. Even if he failed once, he would still have the capital to stage a comeback and take revenge the next time. With such an enemy around, Tung Qingshan wouldn't be able to sleep peacefully at night. "I have to find him and kill him," Tung Qingshan thought to himself. Suddenly, he looked down at the vast Great Yin Mountain. Previously, he and the six-legged blade-like chi had searched for 4 hours, but found nothing. Tung Qingshan knew this. The shrewd and cautious mysterious emptiness realm expert was not someone he could easily find. "Blade-like chi, go down." Tung Qingshan pointed the way. The six-legged blade-like chi immediately dived into the Great Yin Mountain. As soon as Tung Qingshan landed in the East Flower Garden, he saw Yang Dong waiting in the pavilion. "Teacher." When Yang Dong saw Tung Qingshan, he immediately rushed over. "Teacher," Yang Dong said respectfully, "the losses have been found." "Speak." Tung Qingshan frowned slightly. Yang Dong said respectfully, "Today the emptiness realm demonic beast, Black Crow, attacked. It caused many palaces and mansions of the Xing Yi sect to collapse. Rocks flew everywhere. Among the hundreds of thousands of disciples of the Xing Yi sect, 326 were injured. Among them, more than 20 were crippled. 9 people were crushed to death. Among the 9 people, 6 were women, and 3 were young disciples. They were all crushed to death by the heavy rocks." When Tung Qingshan heard this, he became even angrier. "Yes." Tung Qingshan nodded reluctantly. "Give them a proper burial and treat their families well." "Yes." Yang Dong's heart was heavy. Tung Qingshan turned his head and looked ahead. He saw Li Jun walking out of her daughter Hong Lin's room. When she saw Tung Qingshan, she walked over and said, "Qingshan, you are back. Did you find him?" "Yes." Tung Qingshan nodded and asked, "How is Linlin?" "She just fell asleep." Li Jun shook her head helplessly. Linlin has been like a boy since she was young. She looks strong, but deep down in her heart. "Sai, I'm afraid." Tung Qingshan knew that this was a huge blow to his daughter. "We can't delay this any longer. We must find a mysterious emptiness realm demonic beast immediately." Tung Qingshan couldn't bear it anymore. He immediately said, "Little June, Dong, I'm going to the desolate land immediately. I'm going to visit the barbarian tribe temple." "The barbarian tribe temple?" Li Jun was shocked. "If I don't find a mastermind, I won't be able to rest easy," Tung Qingshan said. Li Jun took a deep breath and nodded slightly. She had a headache as well. I will go to the barbarian tribe temple with Little Blue. I will let the blade-like Chi stay here, Tung Ching Shan said. Little June, you don't have to worry. If something happens, Brother Violet Rain will help. In the afternoon, Tung Ching Shan left the Great Yin Mountain on the undying phoenix, Little Blue, and flew towards the desolate land in the south. Phew! The undying phoenix's speed was astonishing. It quickly flew over the river and entered the desolate land. Looking down at the endless forest below, Tung Ching Shan could easily sense the auras of countless ferocious beasts and venomous insects in the desolate land. He held the reincarnation spear in his hand and observed silently. After a long time, in the evening, Tung Ching Shan instantly sensed a great amount of auras in the forest below. Moreover, these auras were much stronger than those of ordinary ferocious beasts and venomous insects. There were also many auras of the souls of innate experts. There were even auras of emptiness realm experts. A few emptiness realm experts were gathered in one place. We're here. The emptiness realm experts are gathering in the barbarian temple. Tung Ching Shan hastily told the undying phoenix. Screech, the undying phoenix, immediately dove down and dashed into the forest. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two figures shot out from the forest and hovered in the air. They looked at Tung Ching Shan, who was on the back of the undying phoenix. Tung Ching Shan observed the two figures. They were both barefooted and wore sackcloth. They looked like the ascetics of the land of the 9 prefectures. Both of them had smiles on their faces. Guests from afar, welcome to the barbarian tribe temple. A skinny elder with a face full of wrinkles said with a smile as he nodded slightly. Screech, screech, screech. A loud and angry roar suddenly sounded. Tung Ching Shan's facial expression changed slightly. This aura belonged to the demonic beast, Black Crow. Are you the ones who injured the godly Black Crow? The wrinkled elder's facial expression changed drastically. Roar, screech, screech. Immediately, Tung Ching Shan sensed powerful auras of emptiness realm experts dashing madly from the barbarian temple. The auras were filled with hostility. This is the end of the first chapter. This chapter has an extra 1,000 words. Chapter 579. Oh no! Tung Ching Shan immediately understood that the people of the barbarian godly temple treated him as an enemy. With a glance, Tung Ching Shan saw that in the middle of the desolate mountain forest, there was a skinny old man with a face full of wrinkles. Beside him, there was a bald giant with a height of 4.5 meters that looked like a demon god. Beneath the two of them was a gigantic black centipede that was at least 200 feet long. Its entire body was glossy, and its legs were like blades that could make one's heart tremble. On top of this gigantic black centipede stood an old man with a head full of silver hair who was sitting cross-legged. Aside from these 3 people and the emptiness realm demonic beast, on their left was the emptiness realm demonic beast, Black Crow, who fought with Tung Ching Shan before. The Black Crow stared at Tung Ching Shan with its blood-red eyes. Behind them was a black demonic dragon with its head raised high. The demonic dragon's eyes were dark gold, and its 2 crystal white dragon whiskers hung down. These demonic beasts, Tung Ching Shan's aura was completely suppressed. Boom! The ground of the forest below shook. A monster that was the size of a small mountain carried a thick tree and flew to the side of the flood dragon. It looked like an ape, but it was a gigantic purple-haired ape with a height of 10 zhong, 25 meters. It waved its furry claws that hid sharp nails, and the branches of the tree were all cut off. Only the tree trunk was left. This must be the purple-haired godly ape that Brother Violet Rain said is as powerful as the demonic dragon. Tung Ching Shan glanced at the 4 emptiness realm demonic beasts and said, the gigantic centipede and the flying black crow should be weaker. As for the demonic dragon that is similar in size to Brother Violet Rain, it should be the strongest among the 4 emptiness realm demonic beasts. Everyone, I am Tung Ching Shan. I come with no ill intentions. Tung Ching Shan said loudly. Humph. A cold harumph came from the bald giant's throat. His voice even echoed in his chest. Our barbarian tribe temple might not be willing to make enemies easily, but we are not willing to make enemies. However, as long as they are the enemies of our barbarian race, we will absolutely not let them off lightly. Are you going to surrender, or do you want us to make a move? Surrender now. The silver-haired old man, sitting cross-legged on the giant centipede, stood up. He was also 3 meters tall. The barbarian tribe was also known as the giant tribe. Even the ordinary clansmen were 3 meters tall, and some of the elites were even taller. Being 12 feet tall was nothing special among the barbarian tribe. The bald giant's height of 8 meters was the maximum height of the giant tribe. You want me to surrender? If I wanted to kill this black crow, it would have died a long time ago. It was Brother Violet Rain who asked me to stop. That's why I didn't kill it, Tung Ching Shan shouted. Violet Rain? The 3 divine temple elders were slightly startled. You injured the black crow, godly beast, so you must be punished. The skinny and wrinkled old man looked at Tung Ching Shan and said, even if you are a friend of the demonic dragon Violet Rain, you must still be punished. Roar! The purple-haired godly ape glared at Tung Ching Shan, and he felt a strong mental pressure. The purple-haired godly ape grabbed the tree trunk with its furry claws and waved it casually. It then bared its sharp teeth at Tung Ching Shan. Ew. The undying phoenix suddenly screeched, and the flames on its body surged. Tung Ching Shan also held the reincarnation spear in his hand. Both Tung Ching Shan and the undying phoenix felt a strong pressure. After all, their opponents were too strong. One was a black demonic dragon that was comparable to the demonic dragon Violet Rain, and the other was a purple-haired godly ape. These two alone were enough to make Tung Ching Shan run away. Elders of the barbarian tribe temple, why? Could it be that the black crow, godly beast of your barbarian tribe temple, went to my sect and started a massacre? Is it reasonable? I, Tung Ching Shan, have no enmity with you. I came here today to ask why the barbarian tribe temple attacked my sect, Tung Ching Shan shouted. Attacking the sect under your command? Impossible, roared the gigantic, demonic, godlike man. Ah, the skinny old man, on the other hand, let out a series of cries towards the black crow demonic beast. Eve, the black crow emptiness realm demonic beast, also screeched. Ah, the 3 elders of the divine temple all had shocked expressions on their faces. Tung Ching Shan stood on the back of the undying phoenix and shouted, Elders, may I ask if this is true? Yes, it is true, the skinny old man nodded and admitted. I, Tung Ching Shan, have no enmity with you. May I know why? Tung Ching Shan shouted. Humph, the bald giant among them scolded. According to the black crow godly beast, you have a great enmity with Elder Jin of our barbarian tribe temple. You even killed Elder Jin's family and friends. The black crow godly beast is Elder Jin's friend. That's why he fought for him. Our barbarian tribe temple never interferes with outside matters. Since there is a reason for this, let's drop the matter. Leave quickly. Their godly beast went to another sect to cause trouble and kill people. The barbarian tribe temple knew that they were in the wrong. Elder Jin? Tung Ching Shan frowned and said, This Elder Jin you are talking about is not a member of your barbarian tribe, right? Indeed not. The skinny old man nodded and said, However, Elder Jin has made great contributions to our barbarian tribe. That's why he became a foreign elder. Elder Jin is a foreign elder. According to the orders of our barbarian tribe ancestors, we will not interfere with his enmity with the outside world. Tung Ching Shan hastily asked, This Elder Jin came here 19 years ago. The skinny old man and the other 2 exchanged glances. Yes, 19 years ago. The bald man said loudly, Elder Jin has made great contributions to our barbarian tribe, and he is selfless. The barbarian tribe is very grateful to him. That's why we made an exception and allowed him to become a foreign elder of our barbarian tribe temple. In the past 8,000 years, there have only been 6 foreign elders in our barbarian tribe temple's history. It really was 19 years ago Tung Qingshan was even more certain that this person was Gu Yong. "Where's this Elder Jean?" Tung Qingshan hastily asked. "Leave quickly," the bald man shouted. The silver-haired old man frowned and said, "Elder Jean is not in the barbarian tribe temple. Even if he is, we will not let you hurt him. Leave quickly. Otherwise, we will have to fight." The skinny old man said coldly. The barbarian tribe temple was hospitable. However, in their opinion, the emptiness realm expert before them had a great enmity with the foreign elder of their barbarian tribe temple. Naturally, this emptiness realm expert was not their friend. They would not treat this emptiness realm expert kindly. Roar! The black demonic dragon stared at Tung Qingshan with its huge, dark golden eyes. It seemed to be warning Tung Qingshan. The purple-haired, godly ape looked at the tree trunk and stared at Tung Qingshan. For a moment, the emptiness realm experts and emptiness realm demonic beasts of the barbarian tribe temple glared at Tung Qingshan. "If that's the case, I will take my leave." Tung Qingshan waved his sleeve. "Let's go." The undying phoenix looked at the people of the barbarian tribe temple with a hint of anger in its eyes. It let out a high-pitched cry and flapped its wings. It transformed into a red beam of light and flew away. The people of the barbarian tribe temple returned to their residences. The barbarian tribe temple did not care about Tung Qingshan. They were only slightly surprised by the undying phoenix. It was already dark. The undying phoenix was flying above the barbarian tribe temple. Tung Qingshan, who was sitting on the back of the undying phoenix, did not look good. He was forced to retreat by the barbarian tribe temple. There was nothing he could do. Compared to this wildlands divine temple, his little bit of strength was indeed nothing. If you are not strong enough, the barbarian tribe temple can look down on you even if they are in the wrong. If the insightful emptiness realm expert Pei San went, the barbarian tribe temple would not dare to be so arrogant. At least they would be treated equally. Tung Qingshan shook his head. "You, the undying phoenix, Little Blue," suddenly let out a cry. Little Blue, are we at your nest?" Tung Qingshan looked down at the forest in the barbarian tribe temple. Below them was a seemingly ordinary mountain range. This was the nest of the undying phoenix, Little Blue, in the barbarian tribe temple. "That's right. You have been protecting Lin Lin all this time and have not returned to your nest. Let's go down." Tung Qingshan knew that Little Blue was worried about the birds under her command and immediately let out a cry. The undying phoenix, Little Blue, immediately swooped down happily and entered her nest. This was a paradise-like mountain range. There were many species of birds here. Among the birds, the undying phoenix was obviously the most powerful. Rumble, the waterfall at the side, was like a waterfall. It fell down and hit the deep pool. Tung Qingshan sat beside the deep pool and looked at the mountain peak not far away. A large number of flying demonic beasts had gathered to worship the undying phoenix. Most of the flying demonic beasts were ordinary demonic beasts, but some were innate demonic beasts, and even golden Dan innate demonic beasts. Some of them were large, some were small, and some had colorful feathers. Some of them were ear-piercing, some were clear, and some were ethereal. "All birds are worshipping the phoenix?" Tung Qingshan muttered. He no longer looked at the happy, undying phoenix, Little Blue. Instead, he lay down and stared at the deep pool beside him, as well as the huge waterfall. It was already nighttime. Tung Qingshan looked at the deep pool. Because of the waterfall and the reefs in the pool, whirlpools formed at the edge of the pool. There were big whirlpools and small whirlpools. Whirlpools appeared and disappeared from time to time. They could be seen everywhere. There were also many bubbles. The bubbles splashed by the waterfall were constantly being destroyed. However, bubbles splashed again and again. He looked at the whirlpools and the bubbles. "Can I do this? Give up?" Tung Qingshan stood up and started practicing the earth element fist, fire element fist, and the other 3 fist arts that he created. In the past year, Tung Qingshan had been trying to break through and step into the insightful emptiness realm. He felt that he was only one step away, but he couldn't break through. Although he had comprehended something in closed-door cultivation, he still couldn't succeed. The night passed, and the day arrived. Tung Shan was still practicing. The sun rose and set. Night and day alternated. The undying phoenix landed beside the deep pool and looked at Tung Shan, who was practicing, in confusion. 5 days passed. On the morning of the 6th day, when the sun rose, rumble, the waterfall at the side, which had crashed into the deep pool with a loud rumble, was actually rolled up. A large amount of water gushed towards Tung Shan. The surrounding flowers, trees, and huge rocks also began to float and spin, surrounding Tung Shan. For a moment, with Tung Shan as the center, the water, rocks, and flowers formed a huge whirlpool. 2 chapters over. Notice tomorrow night from 9:30 to 10 o'clock, Tomato will hold an Essence Enhancement Conference. In that half an hour, Tomato will crazily sprinkle essence on the book review and comment section. At the same time, get the monthly votes. Chapter 580. The Undying Phoenix. Little Blue, who was resting on a thick parasol tree in the distance, was so shocked that it immediately flew down from the tree. Screech, screech. For a moment, tens of thousands of flying demonic beasts around the mountain range, no matter if they were innate realm demonic beasts or ordinary flying demonic beasts, were scattered everywhere. They all looked at the huge whirlpool next to the deep pool in astonishment. Many rocks, water, and plants were swirling around. In the center of this huge whirlpool, one could vaguely see the figure of a person practicing boxing. The center of the whirlpool. With a smile on his face, Tung Shan was completely immersed in the mystery of the boxing technique. Phew! Boom! His figure swayed, and his punches could cause the entire space to shake. For a moment, the booming sounds were unceasing. Whether it was the earth, fire, water, metal, or wood elemental fists, Tung Shan could casually use these 5 elemental fists. At this moment, the 5 elemental fists had become one in Tung Shan's hands. Tung Shan already knew about the concept of the mutual promotion and suppression of the 5 elemental fists. However, after cultivating for more than 20 years in his previous life, and another 40 years in this life, he finally understood the heavenly Tao and created the 5 elemental fists. Today, he finally mastered it and combined the 5 elemental fists. A hearty laughter, like the laughter of a deity, resounded through the entire mountain range. The 5 elemental fists are metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. Why do they need to be so distinct? They are one. Metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. Which of them can exist alone? Amidst the laughter, Tung Shan's figure turned, and he stopped his fists. He took a deep breath. For a moment, the surrounding power of heaven and earth surged crazily. With this breath, Tung Shan seemed to swallow the endless power of heaven and earth into his stomach. Then he slowly exhaled. Withdraw. Suddenly, Tung Shan opened his eyes. This is the insightful emptiness realm, able to see through the void of heaven and earth. Tung Shan murmured. Rumble, the water, rocks, and plants that had been swept up in the air suddenly fell down, smashing everywhere. Anything that got close to Tung Shan's body would naturally slide away. Chirp, chirp, the undying phoenix, which was bathed in flames, had a hint of joy in its eyes, and it emitted a loud and clear chirp towards Tung Shan. Little Blue. Tung Shan's eyes shone brightly. Insightful emptiness realm. I have finally reached the insightful emptiness realm. Tung Shan could clearly feel that he was completely different from before. This was a metamorphosis of being reborn. He could also easily feel the suppression and rejection from the land of the 9 prefectures. This made Tung Shan understand. If the emptiness realm experts were the beloved children of the land of the 9 prefectures, as for the insightful emptiness realm experts, they had already left the land of the 9 prefectures. I had just reached the insightful emptiness realm. I need to consolidate my current realm first. Chirp. Tung Shan emitted a chirp towards the undying phoenix, Little Blue. After giving this instruction, he sat down cross-legged and meditated. Tung Shan closed his eyes and could clearly feel the Niwen Palace. The Niwen Palace was the place where one's spirit resided. In the past, the Niwen Palace was blurry and the spirit existed in it. But now, the Niwen Palace turned from blurry to tangible. This tangible world produced rays of five-colored radiance, and the rays of five-colored radiance illuminated the entire Niwen Palace. At the same time, the entire Niwen Palace became boundless and vast. This five-color power is the power of my world. Tung Shan naturally understood. Now, what I need to do is to refine a large amount of the power of the heavens and earth from the outside world and turn it into the power of my world. Tung Shan couldn't care about anything else. He immediately started absorbing the power of the heavens and earth from the outside world as fast as he could. For a moment, a large amount of the power of the heavens and earth surged towards Tung Shan from the mountain range where the undying phoenix was. It even turned into a tangible color. At the same time, the black small tripod in front of Tung Shan's chest also emitted a hazy light. Immediately, the speed at which the power of the heavens and earth from the outside world surged suddenly increased by more than 10 times. For a moment, the space around the entire mountain range shook, and the wind blew and clouds surged. Many flying demonic beasts were frightened, and they all flew in all directions. It's much faster. Tung Shan, who was completely focused on the Niwen Palace, was surprised to find that the rays of five-colored radiance in the Niwen Palace were increasing at a shocking speed. For a moment, the number of five-colored radiance in the Niwen Palace increased. As time passed, the Niwen Palace became like a fairyland, and it was surrounded by colorful radiance. The increase in the power of the world has increased, and the pressure on my body has also increased. Tung Shan could clearly feel this. Immediately, Tung Shan controlled the rays of the power of the world to come out of the Niwen Palace and let them flow throughout his body. Tung Shan could feel his bones, muscles, skin, cartilage, internal organs, and even the deep texture of his skin. Tung Shan felt that his body was like a mountain that had been dry for a long time. Suddenly, rain fell on it, and the mountain continuously absorbed the water and was once again filled with vitality. It only took a moment for the power of the world to enter Tung Shan's body. It was very short, and Tung Shan's physical strength did not increase much. However, Tung Shan felt that the cells deep in his body were filled with vitality. This is a transformation. In the past, my body was strong, but it was absorbing the power of the heavens and earth from the outside world. But now, it is my own power of the world that I am absorbing. It is obvious that my own power of the world is more effective in nourishing my body. Tung Shan continued to absorb the power of the heavens and earth from the outside world into the Niwen Palace, and turned it into his own power of the world. No wonder an insightful emptiness realm expert needs to strengthen his body. Absorbing too much power of the world is indeed very stressful for the body. If the body is not strong enough, it is impossible for the Niwen Palace to accumulate enough power of the world. Tung Shan knew that people who had just broken through to the insightful emptiness realm needed to cultivate in seclusion and strengthen their bodies completely. This required a lot of time. Absorb, refine, absorb, refine. Tung Shan did not reject anything. His Niwen Palace was like a bottomless pit that continuously absorbed the power of the heavens and earth from the outside world. Rumble, a five-colored whirlpool formed in the mountain range where the undying phoenix was, and a great amount of the power of the heavens and earth surged over. This speed of absorption was even more shocking than the speed that the six-legged blade-like Chi and the undying phoenix had absorbed when they had just attained the emptiness realm. The sun gradually rose until it was in the middle of the sky. Tung Qingshan maintained an extremely fast speed as he absorbed the power of the heavens and earth. In the afternoon, Tung Qingshan's body trembled slightly. At this moment, in Tung Qingshan's Naiwan Palace, the boundless space that the Naiwan Palace had transformed into was filled with a great amount of five-colored radiance. It was very dense. However, at this moment, the entire space of the Naiwan Palace shook continuously. I've absorbed to the limit. My own world of emptiness is transforming. Tung Qingshan understood something and did not disturb this process. As the space of the Naiwan Palace shook, it gradually shrank. It shrank at a slow speed. The Naiwan Palace, which was originally shapeless and could only be sensed, gradually gained color. Eventually, the entire Naiwan Palace turned into a five-colored oval egg. It's done. This should be considered the initial success of the insightful emptiness realm. Currently, there was no longer any five-colored radiance within the Naiwan Palace. Due to the shrinking of the Naiwan Palace, the five-colored radiance had actually turned into a five-colored, pasty liquid that flowed slowly like mercury. At the same time, as the five-colored mercury flowed, the surface of the Naiwan Palace emitted rays of five-colored radiance that resembled auroras. The initial success of the insightful emptiness realm. Tung Qingshan could clearly feel that this five-colored radiance was more condensed and more powerful than the previous five-color radiance. Back then, Huang Tianqin of Emperor Yu's hall stepped into the insightful emptiness realm. His power of the world should be at the level of my five-colored radiance. I need to consolidate it and reach the initial success. At the very least, I need to strengthen my body to the level of perfection. Tung Qingshan was filled with joy. He was very confident. If he encountered another emptiness realm culmination expert, he would definitely be able to kill him easily. From the initial stage of the insightful emptiness realm to the initial success, Tung Qingshan was definitely the fastest person since the creation of the land of the 9 prefectures. Because his body had already reached the level of perfection, he did not need to waste any time. With the help of the 9 prefectures cauldron, he absorbed and refined the power of the heavens and earth at a faster rate. In just half a day, he had absorbed and refined enough power of the heavens and earth. Phew! Tung Qingshan stood up. This. Tung Qingshan, who was originally complacent, was shocked to see the red sun rising in the eastern sky. What morning? The scene in front of him clearly represented the morning of a day. I absorbed the power of the heavens and earth and refined it into the power of the world. It shouldn't be long. Why? Did I just sit here for one day and one night? Tung Qingshan was very surprised. He did not know that the time to absorb the power of the heavens and earth was very short. However, this illusory Naiwan Palace had transformed into a real, five-colored world. Although Tung Qingshan felt that it had happened very quickly, in reality, 16 hours had passed in the outside world. Forget it. It's time to go back. Tung Qingshan now felt very refreshed. After the transformation of the Naiwan Palace, the great pressure on his body had disappeared. Little Blue. Tung Qingshan shouted at the undying phoenix, Little Blue, in the distance. Screech! The undying phoenix swooped down. Phew! With the reincarnation spear in hand, Tung Qingshan leaped up and landed on the back of the undying phoenix, Little Blue. Then, under the gazes of tens of thousands of birds, he disappeared into the north. In a desolate mountain range in Yuzhou, a man wearing a sackcloth cloak and a golden mask sat cross-legged. Fortunately, I was cautious. If Black Crow and I attacked the Xing East sect together, we might have lost our lives, the golden masked man muttered. I'm afraid he might really lose his life. The golden masked man muttered. Even He Wu was injured. This Tung Qingshan's growth is too fast. The news from the shooting sun god mountain is true. Now, Tung Qingshan has reached emptiness realm culmination. With my current strength, I can't kill him. The golden masked man had been troubled by this problem. There is no other way. Tung Qingshan is too powerful. I can't do it alone. I can only kill him with a borrowed knife. The people of the barbarian tribe temple are too stupid. They refuse to leave the mountain. I can only look for other knives. The golden masked man thought to himself, with Tung Chingshan's strength of emptiness realm culmination, I can only find a powerful demonic beast that has reached emptiness realm culmination or an insightful emptiness realm expert to deal with him. With a flash, the golden masked man disappeared from the desolate mountain range. First update, tonight, from 9:30 to 10 o'clock, the tomato will be adding essence. Everyone, don't miss it. Chapter 581. In the depths of the Great Yin Mountain, the demonic dragon, Violet Rain, was sleeping in the pool. The cold air that came out of its nostrils froze and cracked the water around it. Roar, the demonic dragon, Violet Rain, suddenly opened its wheel-sized golden eyes and revealed a hint of surprise. It could clearly feel two auras. One was the familiar aura of the undying phoenix. The other was a black hole. Its domain could not be touched or felt, so it naturally thought that it was a black hole. The long-lived demonic dragon Violet Rain instantly understood that this black hole represented an insightful emptiness realm expert. An insightful emptiness realm expert. The shocked demonic dragon Violet Rain instantly disappeared into the water. In the East Flower Garden of the Xing-Yi sect in the Great Yin Mountain. Why isn't Qingshan back yet? Mother, don't worry. Father must have encountered something urgent. Li Jun was with her son and daughter. Obviously, Tung Qingshan's absence for so long had made her anxious. Suddenly, roar, an angry roar sounded. The six-legged, blade-like Qi, who was sleeping soundly on the grass, raised its head in anger and let out an angry and frightened roar. It also sensed that the aura of the undying phoenix was in front and the other black hole was behind. How could the six-legged blade-like Qi not be shocked by the presence of an insightful emptiness realm expert? Oh no! Li Jun, who understood the language of beasts, was shocked. Whoosh! Whoosh! A fiery red flowing light and a five-colored ray of light landed in the East Flower Garden almost at the same time. Roar! The six-legged blade-like Qi, whose eyes were filled with ferocity, was slightly stunned when it saw that the person formed by the five-colored ray of light was actually Tung Qingshan. Obviously, the six-legged blade-like Qi didn't realize that Tung Qingshan's aura had turned into a black hole. Haha, blade-like Qi, what are you doing? Do you want to fight with me? Tung Qingshan walked over with a smile and patted the six-legged blade-like Qi scales. The six-legged blade-like Qi's blood-red eyes revealed a look of surprise. Haha, I haven't seen you for a few days, and you don't recognize me anymore. Tung Qingshan laughed. Qingshan. Li Jun hastily walked over. His son Hongwu said, Father, go to the barbarian temple. It's been 7 days. Mother has been worried about you every day. Little Jun Tung Qingshan smiled apologetically. Actually, I didn't want to stay that long, but boom, boom. Two powerful auras, one after the other, descended into the East Flower Garden at almost the same time. The maids in the distance were shocked. The huge divine dragon that was more than 200 feet long and a much smaller golden dragon turtle were on the empty ground not far away. The demonic dragon Violet Rain and the golden dragon turtle stared at Tung Qingshan coldly. However, the next moment, the two beasts were stunned. When Tung Qingshan went to the barbarian tribe temple, he had asked the two beasts to help him if there were any strong enemies. Sensing the existence of the whole void, the demonic dragon Violet Rain did not dare to delay and immediately rushed over. Little Jun, help me thank them, Tung Qingshan said with a smile. Oh, Li Jun was a little confused. She roared at the demonic dragon Violet Rain and the golden dragon turtle. Roar, roar. The eyes of the demonic dragon Violet Rain and the golden dragon turtle were filled with joy. They roared to express their congratulations to Tung Qingshan. Li Jun turned her head and looked at Tung Qingshan in surprise. Qingshan, you reached the insightful emptiness realm. Insightful emptiness realm? Hong Lin, who had been depressed recently, couldn't help but exclaim. He is an insightful emptiness realm expert, like the sovereign of the heavenly god palace. Hongwu's eyes widened. Living in such a family, the sisters Hongwu and Honglin had heard about the cultivation realms and the experts in the land of the 9 prefectures. They knew very well what an insightful emptiness realm expert represented. Before the omnipotent experts were born, the insightful emptiness realm expert represented the strongest. This time, it was a blessing in disguise. I was rejected at the barbarian tribe temple. However, in the desolate land, at Little Blue's lair, I had an epiphany. After 7 days of hard work, I finally reached the insightful emptiness realm initial success. Tung Qing Shan said with a smile. At this moment, Li Jun, Hong Lin, and Han Wu did not understand the difference between the insightful emptiness realm initial success and the insightful emptiness realm initial success. Even if they did not understand, they were already very shocked. Tung Qing Shan becoming an insightful emptiness realm expert was a great and joyous event. If a sect had an insightful emptiness realm expert, then no one would dare to offend that sect. If Huang Tianqin, who had just entered the insightful emptiness realm, was only slightly stronger than an emptiness realm culmination expert. However, Tung Qing Shan, who had reached the insightful emptiness realm initial success, was much stronger. In the past, Pei San was worried about Little Blue's mother. But now, even without Little Blue's mother, when he saw Tung Qing Shan, he would not easily offend him. That day, in the East Flower Garden, the demonic dragon Violet Rain, the golden dragon turtle, the undying phoenix, the 6-legged blade-like Qi, and Tung Qing Shan's family discussed for a long time. In the evening, the demonic dragon Violet Rain and the golden dragon turtle returned. In the evening, the demonic dragon Violet Rain and the golden dragon turtle were already in the underground waters. These 2 emptiness realm demonic beasts were the absolute overlords of this heavenly flood lake. Roar, 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 roar. The demonic dragon Violet Rain and the golden dragon turtle roared as they conversed. The demonic dragon Violet Rain was obviously very happy. Tung Qing Shan was only able to visit the demonic dragon Violet Rain because of the golden dragon turtle's recommendation. The demonic dragon, Violet Rain, also knew about Tung Qing Shan's legend, which was why he treated Tung Qing Shan differently. The demonic dragon Violet Rain also thought that Tung Qing Shan had the potential to become an omnipotent expert, so it treated him very well. One should know, in this world, there were 2 demonic beasts that could suppress the demonic dragon Violet Rain. One was the Honorable Bear, and the other was the Undying Phoenix. For example, the Honorable Bear of Emperor Yu's Hall had followed the omnipotent expert, Emperor Yu, and received pointers from Emperor Yu. As for the Undying Phoenix, it had also followed the omnipotent expert, Li Tai-bai, and received pointers from him. In terms of talent, the demonic dragon Violet Rain might be slightly weaker than the Undying Phoenix, but it was not inferior to the Honorable Bear. However, it was slightly weaker than the other 2. This was because it had always been cultivating and had not received pointers from the omnipotent experts. This time, the demonic dragon Violet Rain placed its bets on Tung Qing Shan. It thought that this extraordinary person might succeed. As expected, in less than 20 years after the establishment of the sect, Tung Qing Shan had actually stepped into the insightful emptiness realm. Even the demonic dragon Violet Rain, who had lived for a long time and had seen countless powerhouses, was amazed by this speed of improvement. Perhaps this human, Tung Qing Shan, whom he thought highly of, could really step into the omnipotent realm. Of course, it was just a possibility. It had been more than 2,000 years since the appearance of the 4th omnipotent expert, martial ancestor Shiga, and no omnipotent expert had appeared in the land of the 9 prefectures. During this process, there were some who had reached the insightful emptiness realm, but none of them had reached the omnipotent realm. It was too difficult to become an omnipotent expert. At night, Qing Shan, what's wrong? After dinner, Tung Qing Shan and Li Jun were chatting in the pavilion. When they saw Tung Qing Shan's strange expression, they couldn't help but ask. Just now, I try to merge the power of the world into the Hong Tian godly armor. I didn't expect the Hong Tian godly armor to resist. Tung Shan shook his head and smiled bitterly. I finally understand why the insightful emptiness realm experts have to forge a new set of godly armor. They don't have to use the previous godly armor. Li Jun pondered and said, Qing Shan, this Hong Tian godly armor. It was forged by the Northeast King, Hong Tian, using his power of the world. That's why it resisted your power of the world. If I can't pour my power of the world into it, the effect of this godly armor will be much weaker. Tung Shan shook his head and said, if that's the case, I won't wear this Hong Tian godly armor. I'll forge a new set of godly armor that belongs to me. Under Tung Shan's order, the entire Xing sect spread out to every corner of the land of the 9 prefectures and immediately sent many precious and rare ores to the Xing sect. The demonic dragon violet rain and the golden dragon turtle also helped. Soft water crystals, 10 millennia, cold steel, heavenly meteorite, many rare and precious ores that couldn't be bought with money were gathered. This was the benefit of having forces all over the land of the 9 prefectures. Tung Shan even arranged for Uya Majiang, a top-notch weaponsmith from the Uya clan, to forge the godly armor personally. Many precious materials could be chosen. This was the dream of a weaponsmith. Tung Shan's father, Tung Yongfan, and his grandfather, Tung Yunlong, ran over excitedly to watch the process of the world-famous weaponsmith forging the godly armor. The entire set of godly armor, including the boots, arm guards, leg guards, and inner armor, took 8 days and 7 nights to forge. After the godly armor was successfully forged, Master Uya Majiang was so excited that he couldn't sleep for the entire day. When he felt tired, he slept for 3 days straight before waking up. Tung Shan named this set of godly armor Samsara. The spear is Samsara, and the armor is Samsara as well. Li Jun was slightly confused as she asked, Qing Shan, why did you name it Samsara? I just like it. Tung Shan smiled faintly. Tung Shan didn't want to tell anyone about his previous life, including his relatives. Now, the reincarnation battle armor has only been refined, although the materials are extremely precious. Even an emptiness realm expert would have to expend a great deal of effort to destroy it. However, it can only be considered an armor for mortals. In order to become a godly armor, it needs to be refined with the godly power over a long period of time. Tung Shan had already changed the Hong Tian godly armor into the Samsara armor. During normal cultivation and daily life, Tung Shan wore the Samsara armor just like how he wore the Hong Tian godly armor in the past. However, he rarely wore the helmet and outer armor. No wonder emptiness realm experts value the inner armor of the godly armor the most. It's not just because it's convenient. The most important reason is that insightful emptiness realm experts wear the inner armor for the longest time. While wearing the inner armor, the process of refinement would also take place. Qing Shan, Li Jun, and Tung Shan were taking a walk in the garden of the East Flower Garden. The girl Han Wu likes has finished her morning period. Should we? Tung Shan suddenly lifted his head and looked into the distance. Brother Mu Tao, why are you here? Whoosh! A streak of flowing light descended and transformed into a person. It was the silver-haired and sturdy dreamy cloud martial immortal, Mu Tao, who carried a huge wolf-headed saber on his back. Mu Tao's face was originally filled with shock, but after taking a closer look, he exclaimed, Brother Qing Shan, you've already, haha, brother. I had an epiphany and broke through. Tung Shan laughed. I've been in the land of the 9 prefectures for 20 years, and only then did I make some progress and reach the emptiness realm culmination. Brother Qing Shan, Mu Tao was originally a little proud, but when he saw Tung Shan's progress, he was completely defeated. Brother Mu Tao, what brings you here? Tung Shan asked with a smile. That stubborn master of yours has finally broken through. Of course, I don't have to stay there anymore. Mu Tao laughed. P.S. 2 chapters have been completed. Today, starting at 9:30 a.m., The book review section will have a great meeting. Half an hour of refining. Don't forget to vote when you get the essence. Chapter 582. Teacher has broken through. Tung Qingshan was both surprised and happy. Zhuge Yuanhong learned from Mu Tao that the Thunder Blade deity, Duanmu, you had just broken through to the emptiness realm and comprehended the Tao of destruction, allowing him to control 50% of the power of the heavens and earth. Zhuge Yuanhong also wanted to comprehend the Tao of life. After such a long time, he finally comprehended and broke through. Now he had just reached the emptiness realm, and he could control 50% of the power of the heavens and earth. Qingshan, this is a happy occasion. We must go congratulate him, Li Jun said. That's right, that's right. Teacher has been cultivating in seclusion. Now that he has succeeded, it is worth celebrating. Tung Qingshan was happy for his teacher. In his heart, his teacher, Zhuge Yuanhong, was like a relative. Oh, little Jun, the mourning period for the girl Hongwu likes is over? Oh, Li Jun nodded with a smile. The mourning period for the girl named Little Ru is over. Now that she can get married, shouldn't we pick an auspicious day to propose marriage? Tung Qingshan clenched his fists and laughed. All right, I will go look for grandfather immediately. Grandfather has always been concerned about Hongwu's marriage and asked grandfather to pick an auspicious day for him. Moreover, I have reached the insightful emptiness realm. Teacher doesn't know. This time, I could tell teacher about this. All these years, teacher has been thinking about attacking the shooting sun god mountain of Yanzhou. However, I was not strong enough to occupy 2 prefectures in the past. Now, it's time to talk about this. Tung Qingshan did not forget the promise they had made. Moreover, the shooting sun god mountain must have remembered Shingong Tu's death. Although the shooting sun god mountain had been enduring the hatred, it did not mean that the shooting sun god mountain would forget the hatred. After all, the emptiness realm expert of the shooting sun god mountain was Shingong Tu's younger brother. Tung Qingshan was also unwilling to let the enemy continue to grow stronger. Yes, back then, Shingong Tu wanted to kill you, Qingshan. In the end, he lost his life. The shooting sun god mountain will never forget this. Li Jun nodded. Brother Qingshan, it seems that I have just returned to the Great Yin Mountain. You guys are going to make a big move. Mu Tao laughed. It's not a big deal. Tung Qingshan shook his head and smiled. I'm just helping my teacher. I will deal with the emptiness realm expert of the shooting sun god mountain. As for attacking Yanzhou, they still had to rely on the troops of the Gui Yuan sect. The Gui Yuan sect was the one who occupied the land of Yanzhou. Although the Xingyi sect had declared that they would not fight for hegemony in the world, the Xingyi sect was not a sect that could contend for hegemony. However, this didn't mean that the emptiness realm experts of the Xingyi sect would cower and not fight back, even if others bullied them. The Xingyi sect did not fight for supremacy. However, when the emptiness realm experts of the Xingyi sect fought against the emptiness realm experts of the other sects. However, this could not be considered a struggle for hegemony. It could only be considered a personal grudge. About 10 days later, on the 2nd day of the 12th lunar month, the cold wind was piercingly cold. Tung Qingshan, dressed in a white cloak, and Li Jun, dressed in a purple cloak, were flying southwest side by side. The sunlight above the clouds was even brighter, and the winter sun felt warm when it shone on the body. Hongwu has always been in Yong'an County. I'm afraid that you and I will have to propose marriage for him. He doesn't know yet. Tung Qingshan couldn't help but smile. Li Jun smiled and said, Hongwu still remembers when he was 3 or 4 years old. He was even more obedient than his sister, Lin Lin. As long as you gave him 2 candies, he would not cause trouble at all. He was very obedient. Yes. When he was young, I forced him to wake up in the morning to practice the fist art. Sometimes he would cry in pain, but he would continue to practice the fist art. Tung Qingshan couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, Hongwu would get married. The only thing I'm not satisfied with is Hongwu. He likes doing business more than practicing martial arts. If he spent all his energy on practicing martial arts, it would be hard to say what he would achieve in the future. Tung Shan was very satisfied with his son. However, it was obvious that it was difficult for his son to inherit his legacy. Above the clouds, the couple transformed into a blurry rainbow light and soon arrived at Yong'an County. Yong'an County. Looking down from the sky, the entire Yong'an County looked like a ferocious whale with a dorsal fin because there were mountains in the county city and mountains outside the county city. A rainbow light descended from the clouds and landed in Yong'an County. More than 20% of the land in Yong'an County belonged to the Gui Yuan sect. As a super sect that ruled over the 8 counties of Yangzhou, the number of disciples of the Gui Yuan sect was astonishing. Naturally, the territory of the sect was larger. Teacher, you go ahead. As soon as Tung Shan landed in the Gui Yuan sect, he saw his teacher, Zhuge Yuanhong, discussing something with a few innate experts. Tung Shan sent a message to his teacher. Shan, it's you? Zhuge Yuanhong was shocked. Actually, when he sensed the aura of the black hole and Li Jun appearing at the same time, Zhuge Yuanhong was confused. Which insightful emptiness realm expert would be with Tung Shan's wife? The first person he thought of was Pei San. The second person he thought of was Tung Shan, who had broken through to the insightful emptiness realm. However, he didn't dare to believe the second possibility. Shan, you have reached the insightful emptiness realm. Ha! Zhuge Yuanhong seemed to be very happy. I had an epiphany. Tung Shan smiled and sent a message to his teacher. Teacher, please finish your discussion with the law-enforcing elders. Disciple will have a good chat with Master later. I have a lot of things to do. All right, I will come over later. Zhuge Yuanhong sent a message to Tung Shan. Then he started discussing the important matters of the Gui Yuan sect with the law-enforcing elders. Tung Shan didn't eavesdrop on their discussion. Little June, after the establishment of the Gui Yuan sect, I came here twice, but I only met with teacher. However, I didn't have the chance to visit the Gui Yuan sect. Now, while teacher is busy, let's take a look around the Gui Yuan sect. Let's see what's the difference between the Gui Yuan sect in Yong'an County and the Gui Yuan sect in the past. At least, it is much bigger than the Gui Yuan sect in the past. There are also many disciples here. It has become more prosperous. Li Jun smiled. If it isn't prosperous, then is it declining? Tung Shan smiled. Actually, the Gui Yuan sect has to thank you, Shan. If it wasn't for you, how could the Gui Yuan sect be where it is today? Li Jun teased. Tung Shan shook his head and said, Teacher and I are teacher and disciple. It is only right for a disciple to do something for his teacher. What's there to thank? On a hill, Tung Shan and Li Jun were strolling leisurely. The Gui Yuan sect was huge. It occupied an area larger than a city. Within the sect, there were hills, lakes, and rivers. Elder and I, it's better if you don't say these things. A conversation could be heard from the forest on the hill. Elder Wang, what do you mean by it's better if I don't say these things? Everyone in the Gui Yuan sect knows about these things. In the past, the sovereign lent the fiery gilt battle armor and the fire feather battle armor to Tung Shan and asked him to lead the troops to guard the counties in the south. However, Tung Shan took the fiery gilt battle armor and the fire feather battle armor for himself. This is the truth. Why can't I say it? When Tung Shan and Li Jun heard the conversation in the forest, they frowned. There were many conflicts between the Xing-Yi sect and the Gui Yuan sect regarding the ownership of the fiery gilt battle armor and the fire feather battle armor. This was because the Gui Yuan sect had never disclosed the origin of the fiery gilt steel ores. After all, no one would believe that Tung Shan could obtain so much fiery gilt steel ores by himself. Once it was made public, the sects would probably know that the fiery gilt steel ores that they coveted were obtained by Tung Shan after he disappeared for many years. The Heavenly God Palace would definitely think of overseas. Neither the Gui Yuan sect nor Tung Shan wanted the sects to waste their energy searching for the fiery gilt steel ores in the North Sea. They just didn't want to expose the North Sea continent. However, this also created a problem. The people of the Gui Yuan sect thought that the Xing Yi sect had taken the fiery gilt battle armor and the fire feather battle armor for themselves and didn't want to return them. The higher-ups of the Xing Yi sect, like Yang Dong and Tung Shou, all wanted to take back the fiery gilt battle armor and the fire feather battle armor from the Gui Yuan sect to strengthen the Xing Yi sect. Elder and I, so what if he took them for himself? The Gui Yuan sect owes Lord Tung Qingshan a great debt of gratitude. These fiery gilt battle armors and fire feather battle armors are nothing to him. Just consider it as repaying his debt of gratitude. Elder Wang, you think that Tung Qingshan is your benefactor. However, he might not necessarily care about you. In the past, Tung Qingshan didn't care about our friendship and forced the Gui Yuan sect to leave Jiangning County. The Gui Yuan sect has been in Jiangning County for thousands of years. Many people left their homes and came to Yuan County. That's all. According to what I know from my father, Tung Qingshan agreed to help the Gui Yuan sect conquer Yinzhou. However, it has been almost 20 years now. Not even a trace of him. Elder Ni's voice was filled with sarcasm as he said, Elder Wang, he is now the sovereign of the Xing Yi sect and is living a carefree life. Who cares about the Gui Yuan sect? He might have forgotten that he used to be a disciple of the Gui Yuan sect. Now, he has become the sovereign of the Xing Yi sect. Elder and I, lower your voice. Two middle-aged men walked over from afar. However, they suddenly saw two people in front of them. The facial expressions of the two elders changed. The middle-aged man with long and narrow eyes turned pale. Tung, greetings, Lord. The chubby elder hastily bowed. Greetings, Lord. The middle-aged man with long and narrow eyes hastily bowed. Tung Qingshan's gaze fell upon the narrow-eyed elder and I. Tung Qingshan's facial expression didn't look good. However, he didn't say anything. Instead, he turned and left with Li Jun. How do we meet Tung Qingshan? Beads of sweat appeared on Elder Ni's forehead. I told you not to talk nonsense. I hope that Lord Tung Qingshan will be magnanimous. The other Elder Wang glanced at his old friend and said, If Lord Tung Qingshan wants to punish you, you will be finished. Punish me? I don't believe it. I only said a few words. Who dares to punish me? Moreover, I am telling the truth. Elder Ni glared at Tung Qingshan and said, His father was the law-enforcing elder of the Gui Yuan sect. As Tung Qingshan and Li Jun strolled around the Gui Yuan sect, Qingshan was no longer in a good mood. It was really popular. He had considered a lot for the sake of the Gui Yuan sect. Tung Qingshan had always been thinking about how to deal with Yinzhou. However, before he reached the insightful emptiness realm, Tung Qingshan didn't dare to let the Gui Yuan sect occupy two prefectures. Now that he had reached the insightful emptiness realm, Tung Qingshan was prepared to discuss with his teacher. He didn't expect that someone would say that to him. Tung Qingshan couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Tung Qingshan couldn't help but let out a low snort. Qingshan, are you angry? Li Jun looked at Tung Qingshan. It's nothing. Tung Qingshan shook his head. Qingshan, a voice was heard. A green light flashed and appeared in front of Tung Qingshan. It turned into a figure. It was the high-spirited Zhuge Yuanhong. That's the first chapter. There will be 3 chapters today. I will make up for yesterday's chapter. I will make up for another chapter tomorrow. Chapter 583. I didn't expect you to reach the insightful emptiness realm so quickly, Qingshan, Zhuge Yuanhong said as he looked at Tung Qingshan. His eyes shone brightly as he exclaimed, As far as I know, to reach the insightful emptiness realm from the culmination of the emptiness realm is very difficult. It is very difficult. However, Qingshan, you are unbelievable. Teacher, the wood elemental Tao of the 5 elemental Taos took me 16 years. I have to thank Emperor Yu's Hall's Huang Tianqin for being able to reach the insightful emptiness realm. If it weren't for him, I would have to spend another 10 or 20 years, Tung Qingshan said. Oh, Huang Tianqin? Zhuge Yuanhong was shocked. Tung Qingshan nodded slightly. Although he was talking to his teacher, he was not in a good mood at this moment. The conversation between the two elders had a great impact on Tung Qingshan. He couldn't help but think to himself, if many people in Gue Yuan's sect think this way, then I, Tung Qingshan, should be helping Gue Yuan's sect. They thought that it was natural for me to help the Gue Yuan sect. Then why should I do such an arduous and unrewarding thing? Angry. Moreover, Tung Qingshan hadn't paid much attention to the fiery gilt steel. In fact, he was the one who brought the fiery gilt steel from Duanmu continent. Now, the Bloodwolf army of Xing Yi sect only had a few fiery gilt battle armors and fiery feather battle armors. In the eyes of Gue Yuan's sect, they said, forget it. I'll repay Tung Qingshan's kindness and let them take it all for themselves. Tung Qingshan didn't feel good when he heard these words. For the sake of Gue Yuan's sect, Tung Qingshan had fought many battles under the Gue Yuan sect's walls, and the six-legged blade-like Qi had fought alongside him. Then, he got rid of Qinghu Island. During this process, he didn't hesitate to break off relations with the Heavenly God Palace. Even his own wife had broken off relations with her teacher, Pei Shuilian. Tung Qingshan had always felt that he owed his wife. During this process, Tung Qingshan had almost died. The six-legged blade-like Qi had almost reached the gates of hell and was only saved by the grass of immortality. In the end, with the help of the undying phoenix, they managed to turn the tide. In the beginning, he was worried that the descendants of the Xingyi sect would swallow up the Gue Yuan sect. Tung Qingshan had no doubt that the Xingyi sect would become powerful in the future. Therefore, he gave an order, never to contend for hegemony. Actually, with Tung Qingshan's talent, he could totally walk the same path as Emperor Yu and the Heavenly Emperor of Qi Mountains. He should first accumulate his strength and not be in a hurry to establish his own sect. Once he was strong enough, he would dominate the world, unify the world. It was because of the Gue Yuan sect. They had sacrificed so much, but who would have thought that in the end, they would end up with such an excuse? How disappointing. Zhuge Yuanhong also noticed that Tung Qingshan's mood wasn't right, so he smiled and said, Qingshan, let's go to the hall and talk. Right. You haven't seen your sister Qingyu and your two nephews for a while, right? Yes. When Tung Qingshan thought of his sister and nephews, he smiled. Li Jun, who was standing at the side, knew how Tung Qingshan felt. In fact, she had always thought that Tung Qingshan's sacrifice was not worth it. However, she was his wife, and she had to support her husband. Therefore, she just stood behind him and supported him silently. Asterisk, 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 while Tung Qingshan and Li Jun were with Zhuge Yuanhong and his family in the Sanchong building in Yong'an County City. The Sanchong building was a very famous restaurant in Yong'an County City. The restaurant was built in the shape of a square. The customers on the first, second, and third floors could see the huge stage in the middle of the courtyard downstairs. The stage was in the middle of the courtyard. Therefore, the customers on every floor of the three-story building could see the stage. On the stage, beautiful female musicians who were good at playing musical instruments would be invited to perform, or artists would be invited to paint on the spot. Occasionally, there would be martial arts competitions to attract customers. Hangwu, are you still a man? If you have the guts, come up here and let's have a one-on-one fight. At this moment, a tall young man dressed in blue was standing on the stage. He raised his head and shouted angrily at a spot on the second floor. And I, Mingzhong, you drank too much. On the second floor, a young man dressed in a gray cotton-padded jacket was sitting opposite a girl dressed in white. He frowned as he looked down. This young man dressed in a gray cotton-padded jacket was Tung Qingshan's son, Tung Hanwu. In the outside world, Tung Hanwu usually said that his surname was Hong and his name was Wu. The identity of Tung Qingshan's son was too shocking. Because Tung Qingshan kept it a secret and told the Wanxiang sect about it, the names of his daughter and son were not spread around. However, some people knew about them. In Yong'an County City, Tung Qingshan was not worried. Drank too much? I didn't drink too much. The young man dressed in blue raised his head and shouted, Hongwu, why are you so fussy? Why are you acting like a woman? If you are a man, come down now. The whole restaurant was filled with all kinds of cheers and laughter. They all wanted to see the world in chaos. Brother Hongwu, don't stoop to Brother Knee's level. The girl dressed in white held Hongwu's hand and said, Haha, I think this young master Hongwu's parents gave birth to the wrong person. He shouldn't be a man. He should be a woman. Ha! A drunkard in the restaurant immediately laughed loudly. Immediately, the whole restaurant was filled with laughter. They all wanted Hongwu to fight. Hongwu clenched his fists. He was very calm, but he didn't like people talking about his parents. He had always been proud of being the son of Tung Shan. Hongwu, the young man dressed in blue, and I Mengzhong, opened his mouth. Whoosh! From the second floor, a figure jumped over the railing and landed on the stage below. It was Tung Hongwu, who had a serious expression on his face. Oh, you finally came down? And I Mengzhong sneered. Didn't you want to fight me? Hongwu put on the 3 postures and said, Make your move. Okay. And I Mengzhong sneered and took a step forward. His right hand turned into a claw and clawed at Hongwu's head. Bang! Hongwu turned around and punched the claw. Then, his body was extremely agile. He swayed his body twice and suddenly took a step forward. He stomped his foot, and at the same time, he punched with a cannon fist. With this stomp, the stage, which was made of yellow crane rocks, shook violently, and cracks appeared on the surface. This cannon fist contained the image of a tiger roaring. Hongwu's internal martial art was taught by Tung Shan. Although Hongwu's internal martial art wasn't as good as his sister's, he was still a first-rated warrior. Ha! And I Mengzhong shouted. He glared and crossed his arms in front of his chest to take the punch. Bang! After the fist and arm collided, and I Mengzhong couldn't help but take 3 steps back. Each step made the stage shake. Good. This young master Hongwu is indeed powerful. Immediately, the people in the restaurant cheered. On the second floor, a girl in white with a white bird on her shoulder shouted anxiously, Big brother and I, Big brother Hongwu, stop fighting. Stop! And I Mengzhong looked up and felt even more ashamed and angry. Of course, I can't beat him in fist techniques. However, I have the internal strength of a first-rated warrior and the blade technique taught by my grandfather. Even though he is the son of Tung Shan, he is much younger than me. I don't believe that I can't beat him. I must teach him a lesson this time. And I Mengzhong thought to himself. At the same time, he pulled out a scimitar that was as thin as a cicada's wing from his waist. Seeing his opponent pull out his scimitar, Hongwu's facial expression changed slightly. And I Mengzhong, Hongwu shouted, Why? Are you afraid? And I Mengzhong sneered. Good. You asked for it. Hongwu was also disgusted by this person named Enai Mengzhong. After all, Hongwu was a young man, and he had a temper. He immediately moved to the side of the stage and pulled out the wooden flagpole that was stuck on the side of the stage. He used one of his hands as a blade and chopped the flagpole. The remaining wooden stick was about 1 zhang long. Come on. Hongwu took a horse stance and pointed the long stick at his opponent. Young master, beat this guy with the surname Hong. At the side of the stage, a young man with a ponytail waved his hand and shouted. At this moment, there was a lot of discussion in the restaurant. This young master Hongwu is going to be unlucky. And I Mengzhong, who is he? He is the centurion of the long gang guards of the Gui Yuan sect and a first-rated warrior. His family is the powerful Ni family in the Gui Yuan sect. His blade technique is very powerful. Brother is right. The experts of the Gui Yuan sect are not good at fist techniques, but the blade and the sword are powerful. The young man in front of him obviously practices the internal martial arts. His fist techniques are more powerful. Who doesn't know that this Enai Mengzhong is cruel and merciless? This Hongwu is a coward. Enai Mengzhong just crippled a person not long ago. He doesn't dare to kill anyone in the city, but it's normal for him to cripple someone. Look, this Hongwu is going to be unlucky. In Yong'an County City, who didn't know Enai Mengzhong's name? He was strong, and his family was powerful. Who dared to provoke him? Whoosh, whoosh. and I Mengzhong and Hongwu, one with a scimitar and the other with a long stick, rushed towards each other and started fighting. Puff, puff, an inch longer, an inch stronger. Relying on the long stick, Hongwu continuously performed the pursuing shadow spear art, forcing I Mengzhong into a difficult position. However, the long stick was just an ordinary wooden stick. After a few hits, it was cut in half. Let's see what else you can rely on. I Mengzhong sneered and rushed forward, slashing his blade at Hongwu's head. Let's end this. Hongwu's eyes flashed, and the broken wooden stick in his hand, which was infused with inner strength, collided with the curved blade. With a pung sound, the wooden stick broke. Hongwu had already anticipated this, so he turned around and rushed towards I Mengzhong. However, the sharp scimitar drew a sharp arc in the air. Puff! Hongwu dodged quickly, but his left arm was still cut. You lost. While Hongwu was injured, he punched I Mengzhong's chest. I Mengzhong was thrown back a few feet and fell heavily on the stage. Hongwu glanced at I Mengzhong and shook his head. I lost. I Mengzhong couldn't believe it. He gritted his teeth and looked at Hongwu. Suddenly, Hongwu's face instantly darkened. His body went limp, and he fell on the stage with a loud thud. Brother Hongwu, the white-clothed girl on the second floor screamed and jumped onto the stage from the second floor without a care for anything else. She even tripped and fell. Poison. I Mengzhong poisoned him. Many guests on the first floor saw that the blood on Hongwu's arm was black. No, that's impossible. I Mengzhong widened his eyes. He wouldn't dare to poison Tang Qingshan's son even if he had 10 guts. You. A white light flashed and pierced through I Mengzhong's chest. I Mengzhong looked down in a daze and saw that a bloody hole had appeared in his chest. Then he felt dizzy and fell to the ground with a loud bang. In the living room of Zhuge Yuanhong's house in the Gui Yuan sect, Tang Qingshan, Li Jun, Zhuge Yuanhong, Zhuge Yun, and Qingyu were together. No! Tang Qingshan's facial expression changed drastically. He could clearly feel that his son Hongwu's soul aura was weakening in the domain. An indescribable ruthless aura instantly filled his chest, and Tang Qingshan's eyes turned red. Swoosh! Tang Qingshan disappeared from the living room. Zhuge Yuanhong's expression changed as well. However, he remained calm. He grabbed Li Jun's arm and disappeared. Here is the second chapter. Continue writing. Chapter 584. The three-story restaurant that was originally filled with discussions and laughter instantly burst into an uproar. Murder! The young master of the Ni family, I Mengzhong, is dead. Young Master Hongwu is dead. The entire restaurant was in a mess. Many people saw a white light shoot a hole in I Mengzhong's chest. Then, the white light stopped and turned into a white bird. It kept chirping around Hongwu. This bird was definitely a demonic beast, since it could kill a first-rated warrior in an instant. How could a young man protected by a demonic beast be an ordinary person? Brother Hongwu, Brother Hongwu. The girl's face was full of tears, and her face was pale. She turned her head and looked at I Mengzhong, who was lying on the ground, and cried even louder. How did this happen? She didn't know. Boom! A blast of air suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and the blast of air pushed the white-clothed girl aside. Tang Qingshan, whose eyes were glowing with red light, appeared beside his son, Hongwu. He immediately put the grass of immortality in his hand into his son's mouth. When he arrived, Tang Qingshan had already taken out the grass of immortality that he carried with him. Hongwu, Hongwu. Tang Qingshan's heart skipped a beat. His son had been well-behaved since he was young. He wouldn't cry or make a fuss even if he ate a candy. In the morning, he would drag his son up to practice boxing, even if he cried. He pampered his daughter, but he was strict with his son. However, deep in his heart, he cared about his son as much as his daughter. Tang Qingshan's heart trembled. He touched and looked at his son with trembling hands. The grass of immortality melted in Hongwu's mouth. The magical effect instantly spread throughout Hongwoo's entire body. Hongwoo's originally dark face and skin quickly recovered to a healthy color. His previously stopped breathing also gradually recovered, and a hint of red appeared on his face. Even a wound on his arm quickly healed and disappeared. It was as if he had never been injured. Only the black bloodstains on his skin showed what had just happened. Hongwu, Li Jun, who appeared at the same time as Zhuge Yuanhong, shouted and ran to her son. Hongwu, Li Jun's tears flowed down. My son is my mother's heart. Breathe. Inhale. The stopped breathing resumed. Gradually, Hongwu opened his eyes and looked at his mother, Li Jun, whose face was covered in tears. His father, Tung Qingshan, whose eyes were red and eyes were filled with tears. Hongwu had never seen his father and mother like this. In his heart, his father was the strongest person in the world. Dad, Mom, Hongwu said, it's okay, it's okay. I won't let anyone hurt you. As Tung Qingshan spoke, the anger in his heart burned so much that Tung Qingshan was about to go crazy, and his head was burning. If only he and his wife hadn't come here this time. Even if Zhuge Yuanhong was here, without the grass of immortality, he would not be able to save his son. Bastard! Tung Qingshan's heart was filled with murderous intent, and his eyes were frighteningly red. No matter who it is, as long as they touch my son, they will die. No matter who it is, they will all die. Tung Qingshan felt that his son had almost left him, and he had almost died before his son. He couldn't even be considered as a white-haired person. This was the greatest tragedy of his life. This must not happen. Sovereign Zhuge, I want to know who it is. Tung Qingshan's voice was so cold that it was frightening. He was so angry that he didn't even call Tung Qingshan teacher. Instead, he called Sovereign Zhuge. Zhuge Yuanhong, who was standing at the side, was also extremely angry. He didn't know what had happened, but he didn't know why Tung Qingshan's son had almost died. Without the grass of immortality, even an emptiness realm expert wouldn't be able to save Hongwu. When Tung Qingshan called Sovereign Zhuge, Zhuge Yuanhong's heart trembled. He knew the relationship between the Gui Yuan sect and the Xingyi sect had always been maintained by Tung Qingshan's feelings for the Gui Yuan sect. If this matter wasn't handled well, the relationship between the two sects might become strained. He's alive. That young master Hongwu ate a 7-colored spiritual herb. It's the grass of immortality. Many people in the restaurant cried out in surprise. He came back from the dead. Who is this young master Hongwu? How could he eat the grass of immortality? How many grass of immortality were there in the land of the 9 prefectures? Ordinary people couldn't eat the grass of immortality. Even emptiness realm experts or insightful emptiness realm experts couldn't get a grass of immortality. At this moment, a large number of soldiers rushed into the restaurant. Who killed young master Enai Mingzhou? Where is he? Obviously, the shouts of the customers made the patrolling soldiers of the Gui Yuan sect rush into the restaurant. Enai Mingzhou's death was a terrible thing. Enai Mingzhou's father was an elder of the Gui Yuan sect. Enai Mingzhou's grandfather was a law-enforcing elder of the Gui Yuan sect. He was one of the only 2 Golden Dan innate law-enforcing elders. Sovereign. The soldiers who rushed in were led by a centurion. When he saw the people inside, he was so scared that he immediately saluted. Pass down my order. No one in the restaurant is allowed to leave. Those who leave, kill without mercy. Zhuge Yuanhong shouted with a livid face. Yes. The centurion responded respectfully. Quick, seal the restaurant. No one is allowed to leave the restaurant. Kill anyone who leaves. The centurion immediately shouted. All the customers of the restaurant, who were originally watching the show, were scared stiff. No one even dared to speak loudly. When they heard that the person below was the sovereign of the Gui Yuan sect, they knew that this matter had broken the heavens. On the street outside the Sanchong restaurant. Quick, quick, seal the surroundings. Don't allow anyone to leave. The other soldiers of the Black Armor Corps, and even some soldiers of the Long Gang army immediately obeyed the order and sealed the entire street near the Sanchong restaurant. Many pedestrians who were sealed saw the cold light reflected from the swords and sabers, and they were so scared that they didn't dare to make sound. If one person dared to resist and provoke them, they would be killed without mercy. These pedestrians all knew that if a sect did this, something terrible would definitely happen. No one dared to go head-on against the super sect. Impossible, impossible. Many protectors and elders also quickly rushed over. Zhong. Elder and Han quickly ran over, his eyes full of fear. Impossible. Asterisk in the restaurant. There was a deathly silence. A large number of customers didn't dare to speak without permission. Tell me, what happened just now? A man's face was pale as he stood at the side, facing the Long Gang army's General Zongfeng's question. The man quickly replied, Sir, it's like this. Young Master and Mengzhong provoked the young master named Hong Wu on the stage, constantly inviting him to a fight. Later, young Master Hong Wu couldn't help but jump off the stage and fight with him. At first, both of them used their fists, and young Master Hong Wu had the upper hand. Later, young Master and Mengzhong pulled out the scimitar at his waist. Young Master Hong Wu also took out the wooden flagpole beside him. The two of them fought again, and young Master and Mengzhong relied on the sharpness of the scimitar to injure young Master Hong Wu's arm, while young Master Hong Wu sent young Master and Mengzhong flying with a punch. Logically speaking, it should have ended at this time. But at this time, young Master Hong Wu's face suddenly turned black, and black blood flowed out of the wound on his arm. His entire body directly fell to the ground with a loud bang. At this moment, a white light shot through young Master and Mengzhong's chest. Young Master and Mengzhong also died. The man's voice was trembling. Go down. You come here. General Zongfeng once again called another person over. Tung Qingshan was at the side, listening to his son Hong Wu's own description. The scimitar was poisoned. Tung Qingshan's gaze fell on the scimitar that was still tightly held by Mengzhong. At first glance, it was impossible to tell that the scimitar was poisoned. This poison can actually kill people in an instant, and it can't be seen when it's roasted on the surface of the scimitar. This is definitely not an ordinary poison. There must be a plan behind this. When Ting Qingshan thought of this, the flames of anger in his heart rose even higher, and his eyes became terrifyingly red. Sovereign! Many higher-ups of the Gui Yuan sect rushed over and immediately bowed to Zhuge Yuanhong. Then, they also bowed respectfully to Tung Qingshan and said, Greetings, Lord. When the customers in the restaurant saw that young Master Hong Wu could consume the grass of immortality, they immediately thought of the undying phoenix. When they thought of the undying phoenix, they naturally thought of Tung Qingshan. Moreover, considering the relationship between Tung Qingshan and the Gui Yuan sect, many people guessed that this white-cloaked young man with an intimidating aura, he was the legendary martial ancestor of the internal martial art. He was the martial ancestor of the Xing Yi sect. Also, he was the peerless genius who attained the emptiness realm faster than the four omnipotent experts. He was the peerless figure of his generation, Tung Qingshan. The legendary figure was right in front of them. Many people stared at Tung Qingshan with passionate gazes. They were extremely excited to be able to see Tung Qingshan. Zhong. Suddenly, a cry sounded. A middle-aged man was lying on the corpse of Mengzhong's son. When he saw the bloody hole in Mengzhong's chest, he couldn't help but cry, Zhong, how could you? General Zongfeng, who killed my son? Han stared at Zongfeng. Zongfeng was asking a waiter of the restaurant, and Shan's eyes widened when he heard the waiter's words. He turned his head and stared at Tung Qingshan's family. His eyes widened as he exclaimed, Tung Qingshan, you are a grandmaster, but you allowed your son to commit murder. My son is not as precious as your son, but he is still my son. Step down. Zhuge Yuanhong's face turned livid as he shouted, Sovereign, The veins on an eye Han Shan's forehead bulged as he pointed at Tung Ching Shan and roared, "It was Tung Ching Shan's son who killed my son. He allowed his son to commit murder. Look, these people even said that my son poisoned Tung Ching Shan's son. It's all a bunch of nonsense. They are all afraid of Tung Ching Shan. Isn't his son fine? My son is already. Others are afraid, but I am not. I want justice for my son." And I Han stared at Tung Ching Shan angrily. Tung Ching Shan, who had been by his son's side, suddenly waved his sleeve. Bang! And I Han was sent flying as if he was hit by a meteorite. He crashed into a pillar of the restaurant and broke it, causing the entire restaurant to tremble slightly. At this moment, a shadow flashed by and hugged I Han before landing on the ground. It was Elder I, one of the two Golden Dan innate law enforcing elders of the Gue Yuan sect. In the entire restaurant, everyone's eyes were focused on Tung Ching Shan, who was enraged like a demon. Tung Ching Shan's eyes turned red. He glanced at his teacher, Zhuge Yuanhong, and said to Zhuge Yuanhong with the use of the sound transmission technique, "Sovereign Zhuge, I want to know who is behind this." His words were filled with killing intent, which made Zhuge Yuanhong's face even more unsightly. "Let's go." Tung Ching Shan, along with his wife and son, turned into a beam of light and disappeared from the restaurant. End of Chapter 3. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.